Hey everybody, what's happening? I am Tommy. You're on the Lifeboat, and it is Mental Health Awareness Month, folks. And I'm going to be popping in here all month to talk to you about some things that are near and dear to my heart. This is the Super Bowl, right? This month is a big deal here at the Lifeboat because we don't suffer in silence. We're the people that talk about this 12 months a year. We're the people that realize the vast majority of people on planet Earth are suffering from mental illness. I am one of them, and I have for the vast majority of my time here on planet Earth. Not something I'm ashamed of. The stigma that is put on us by society for uh, being born different, right? Uh, I'll be listening. I have to go check on some hitchhikers. Well, okay. Please be careful whilst checking on some hitchhikers. Um, this is our Super Bowl. This is our month. This is the month where we get to stretch our legs a little bit and talk about some things. And I'm going to be talking about some things today that, you know what, maybe I wouldn't have talked about the same way if I was running this puppy the same way that I was in the past. Because there are some things that we should talk about. I kind of want to go off on a rant here a little bit. And I like going off on rants because it makes the people listening to me at double speed really have a tough time doing it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm just info dumping something that's in my head that maybe I'm not particularly fired up about, or I am particularly fired up about, that's the kind of thing that's really rugged if you try to listen to it at double speed. Before I do, I'm shouting out everybody here because I don't really, I know that people can't stand it, but you know what? That's why we're here. I'm sorry. Blessed to Crochet, good to see you. Brazy Girl, what's happening? Brandon Calloway, very, very proud of you, bud, for everything you're doing. Donna, good to see you. Pajama Pixie, what's happening? Good to see you. We've got Lumen. Good to see you, Lumen. Kristen Melinda, wouldn't be a show without you. What's happening? Tara, good to see you. Dennis N, there he is. I popped in on Kristen Melinda's show and I actually stuck my head up and said hello. Hello, Teresa. How are you? Shannon Smith, glad you're here. I actually popped my head up and said hi. I don't do that often on people's channels. CBC, good to see you. Meredith Lynn, how are you? Patty, good to see you. I am a polarizing individual for whatever reason. I am a polarizing cat. So there are people who don't like me. And I tend to, hey, Brewy, 2 a.m. in Melbourne. Miss my face? Well, here you go. You're getting a dose of it right here. Head on over to the Related Boat. I put content over there if you're looking to see my face. It's a sillier content to be sure, but still working on the connection thing. That's huge. That's what it's about. And I'll be honest, we're doing a lot less silly content. The last 40 minutes or whatever of every show we do, but we're diving deep. We're doing some pretty heavy stuff over there as well. I think I don't think. Thanks, Dennison. I like you too, bud. I don't think that. So my mental health is something that I've been very open about, and there are some people that I hurt when I was doing that rapid cycle bipolar thing. There are definitely people that I hurt. You saw one of them yesterday show up and get lippy here, right? I can, come over. I'll give you receipts. This guy's a con, this and that. He was a dude on the Lifeboat. Like I went over and looked at who that was afterwards. He was just a dude on the Lifeboat, and he's a guy on the Lifeboat that didn't get enough attention from me. I'm not being a smart aleck. I'm being completely honest. Right? The guy probably needed more attention than I gave him, and at any other time I probably would have. Right? That's something I was pretty serious about with everybody. But during that time, I lost days. I really did. I lost entire days, or sometimes multiple days linked together. Honestly, I'm really blessed that my two best friends are Alan Valentine and Quibble, because I think if they were anybody else, they would have bailed. I honestly don't think they would have stuck around for it. It was really an unusual thing, and the people that have been on the Lifeboat for a long enough period of time, God bless them, I think just thought, well, Tommy snapped. Tommy's gotten to the point where he snapped. I'm happy that I can come on here and talk about it. I really am, because I think that this happens to other people for other reasons, right? The fact that I was on the medication that I was on, the fact that that medication is what it is was unique, but the what happened to me is not. Right? This is something that happens to people every single day. Miss Sunrise Dawn, good to see you. Mile High Hokey, how are you? So, it hasn't even been a month since I got that crap out of my system, and I'm not back to I'm not back to where I should be. Right? I'm not at all. I'm a far friggin' cry from where I should be, and it's still causing relationship issues, and it's still causing organizational problems, and basically, I'm still a bit of a jackwagon. Right? I'm not as much fun to be around, to be sure, and that's a bummer, right? It really is. It's a bummer. But I kind of disappeared for a little bit, at least from the boat. I disappeared certainly from talking to people. And the biggest thing that I did, and this is insane, but you know what I did? Hey, Franklin, good to see you. I quit watching YouTube. Um, you may be saying, there's no big deal there, right? It's a huge deal for me. It really is. I don't think you can imagine the amount of time I spent watching YouTube. Florence, good to see you. In spite of the fact that I create content, I spend a crap load of time watching other people who create content. I do. This is, and I don't think I don't think that's unique, right? I don't think that's unique. At least I don't think it's unique to me. I think a lot of content creators go out and watch a lot of other people. You know what? It's not speculation. I know a bunch of content creators and they watch a bunch of other people. It's something that we do. We watch people who are considerably better than us, and we watch people who aren't as good as us, right? Whether that be by skill or by numbers, right? We tend to do that. And I have stopped watching YouTube for an extended period of time, by the way. I took off for, a while. And I'll be honest with you, I started to kind of dip my toe back in the water in the last couple of days. And you know what? Man, oh man, take 2 weeks off and watch how the complexion of YouTube changes in 14 days. It's bizarre. It really is. It's bizarre. There are people who some of you don't like anymore, right? And then there are people who you've decided that you love. And um, I really kind of try to stay on the outskirts of all of that. I've been pretty open and honest that my biggest fear is that because of who I am and the life I live, that somehow I could damage the cause. Right, so I backed off from a lot of things for that reason. But boy, oh boy, there's a lot of ugliness going on in this world, for real. And we have become some of the most sensitive people alive. This is Mental Health Month, right? If you suffer from mental health problems, if you have mental illness, you've probably heard some really hurtful things in your life, like "buck up, Buttercup," or "snap out of it." So that's one they like to throw around a lot. I did that too, Tommy. I got jacked up and burnt out. Still not using though. That's what it's all about, right? We're gonna do this, right? That's just how that goes down. We're gonna do that, Dennis. Under the best of circumstances, we are in a fist fight with a drug that we cannot win. Eh. Okay. So we're going to spend the rest of our lives in one way or another trying to figure out how to get the most out of this life, how to squeeze the absolute most amount of life that we can out of this trip we're going to make on this globe, right? And to do so without something that our body tells us we have to have or we're going to die. And if you think that that's over dramatic, you're not a drug addict. That's really exactly what's going on in your brain. Your brain is saying smack is more important than love or food or anything else, right? And if you're an addict, you know this, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about if you're an addict. This is not something that's going to shock you, right? This is not something that's going to shock you. But uh, we have we've become kind of sensitive, right? I don't want anybody saying "buck up, Buttercup." I don't want anybody saying "snap out of it." I don't want anybody saying, "Why can't you just be happy?" Right? Some of the stupid things that people say who don't understand mental illness. Right? I'm not going to say any of those things. But you know what? If you're gonna be successful on this journey in life, this journey of self-discovery, if you're going to be successful on this journey where you're journaling and looking inward at yourself with an eye that a lot of people don't do, right? This is heavy. Well, then you're going to have to thicken up your own skin a little bit for your own benefit. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to. And this is fun to say because after 3 or 4 years of doing this, sometimes you say things like, hey, man, you really got a journal. And people will write me a email this long about how I scared them, right? That I invaded or crossed a line or by saying, hey, man, you need to do this, right? That's too much for a lot of you to handle. Blake, what's happening? I love it when Blake's around. My favorite thing hearing was always get over it. Yep. Just think about it. Just get it out of your head. Here's the really funny thing, right? Imagine saying that to somebody with any other disease. Pick anyone, right? It's silly and it sounds really dumb every time I do anything like this, right? Or I make any of these comparisons. But diabetes, right? You weakling. You can't process sugar, right? You can't regulate the sugar in your body. What's up, insulin boy? Right? No one would ever even dream of telling somebody to tighten up their game on any other disease. Problem is, people can't stand calling addiction a disease. They can't stand it. You know why? Because it doesn't punish the addict enough. Eh, I'm not playing. It doesn't punish the addict enough. So you took 20 years of being a jackwagon. You crashed a bunch of cars. You got drunk. You hit on your brother's wife at a Christmas party. All of these stupid things. And now, because of this disease thing, you got to get out of jail free pass, right? You just come out tomorrow and you go, I'm not doing this anymore. And you got to forgive me for everything I did in the past because I have a disease, right? I understand why people really, really get pissed about that. Diana, I love you. That's awesome, huh? How good does that sound, people? That's that is just too cool. Hi, Tommy. Thanks to you, I have made an appointment with the doctor to start working on quitting alcohol. I don't know that I would have had the courage without you and this boat. Wow. Wow, it's one of the coolest comments ever, right? And everything else we talk about here today is just kind of fluff, but that right there is serious, right? That's serious. That's somebody that's going and talking to a doctor about changing their life and the life of every single person in your life. You realize when you get sober, you affect every single person in your life. We've been talking about a very very close member of my family that's been struggling with CHS, something that for a period of time a lot of people thought was a myth, but this stuff's real, and it's terrifying. If you want to do a deep dive, I never say it right. Chronic. It's a very difficult. I even tried to like write it out phonetically, but I'm not any good at that. Cannabinoid hypermesis syndrome. This is a condition linked to heavy and long-term cannabis use. And I pulled up some facts about it, but most people are familiar with this, yeah. But there's a lot of us here that treat our mental illness with weed. I'm not mad at you if you're trying to self-medicate. I'm not mad at you. That makes perfect sense to me. I'm uncomfortable in my own skin. I go and tell a doctor that they treat me like I'm an idiot, or they say stuff like "buck up, buttercup," right? Just your problem isn't this or your problem isn't that. You get to a point where you're like, I'm not talking to another doctor, and then you take a hit of a joint at a party, and you're like, you know what, man, I think I feel a lot more normal. And we start that process of self-medication, right? But and I've never badmouthed anybody for that. I don't understand people who go through life without looking for an anchor of some kind, be it God, be it drugs, be it exercise, but something that they use as the center of everything else that they do in life, right? So I'm not mad at anybody that's self-medicating, but this ain't the weed we smoked in high school, boys and girls, right? The 7% THC brick weed from Mexico, right? The regs, the commercial, right? The dirt. That's the kind of stuff, even the good weed back in the day, you're not talking about the same drug. It's so much different now. And I was talking to somebody that has never had a drug problem, has never done drugs, I was talking to Mama Scoville about this actually. And Mama Scoville doesn't have any point of reference to cannabis at all, right? Never used it. There is nothing there. So when she hears about this CHS, and I explained that not only is weed 100 times stronger than it used to be, but on top of that, there are extracts that you can buy, like shatter or wax or dabs or any of these stuff where they just extract the THC out itself, and you're smoking the stuff that looks like yellow crack or blue crack or whatever, and it's it's just pure THC. And Mama Scoville said, why would people continue to try to make it stronger and stronger and stronger, right? If it doesn't it reach a point where maybe you're getting, I don't think, I think it's about at this point, now we have, like, if you were the guy that came up with Granddaddy Perps, right? Guy's a multimillionaire. He's famous for a strain of marijuana. So there are a lot of people looking to grow that strain that just has the highest concentration of THC. And now it's become genetic engineering. It's not even about weed anymore. I don't think half of the people doing this smoke it, right? Get a couple of good genetic engineers right out of college, grab an MIT grad, and see if you can't make some stuff that's going to make you so damn high, right? That 32% of people that smoke it long term are going to end up with this CHS thing, right? Which is vicious, by the way, because as you start to throw up constantly, which is the symptom of this, your electrolyte balance will get off, and that can kill you, literally take you off the planet. People don't want to hear about your problems. They just want you to listen to theirs. And people wonder why I'm crazy sometimes. Blake, you know what? I don't think you're crazy, but I think you're one of the kindest people that's ever come on the boat, either of them for that matter. And I love you to death, man. I really do. You're just a good dude, just a really, really good dude. Um, Dennis, see, there you go. Dennis says, I was growing my own, decided I was ate up enough and probably best not to smoke anymore. Yeah. I mean, uh, Shannon Smith, I'm glad you can't take it too. Right. And I'll tell you something right now, full disclosure, right? I have horrific nightmares unless I take cannabis before I go to bed. I don't smoke it. I eat it. I have not upped the dose. I've been blessed that this is working consistently at 10 milligrams a night. Uh, and that has worked for me. I don't know where I'd be without it. I was pretty steadily going nuts, and I had tried so much of what is out there to try to help you sleep. However, I'm not giving up on the fact that if I continue to journal and I continue to do the things that I do, maybe someday those go away and I can get off of the stuff. Thank you, Blake. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, man. You really make this place better. Um, I don't sleep at all if I don't use weed for years and nothing else worked at all, says Kestrel. And I understand that. I really do. Well, Butrin equals nightmares, says JDH. My nightmare, and it's one nightmare. My nightmare is because I witnessed something horrific. It's just a PTSD thing. I watched an inmate stomp another inmate to death. And unfortunately, he was directly across. We were in a lockdown unit, a 24-hour day lockdown unit. Yeah, 23 and 1, But this this was a Mexican cat who lived across the hall, and he was very small, and the guy that took him out was very large, and it was just disturbing as hell. And it's messed me up pretty good from that day forward. Did a couple of videos on it. You can go back and watch them. But I've covered this pretty extensively in other videos, and I've journaled about it, and I've spent a small fortune talking to shrinks, and I got it all worked out in my head. Unfortunately, I still relive it in my sleep. So, yes, I have, Shannon Smith. I have. Honestly, I cannot begin to tell you the litany of medications that I tried, and I'm not an advocate, people. Honestly, I'm not sitting here saying there's nothing better out there, right, than cannabis. It's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I stopped looking for anything else when that worked, and whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, I'd be a pretty large hypocrite if I sat in this chair and didn't mention to you that every night I snag one of these before I go to bed, right? That's pretty, well, it's not right, you know? And by the way, I catch mad crap for this. You know this, right? There are other people that like to say that, I'm still on drugs, right? Because of medications that I take. And you know what, man? I get it. It goes right back again to we can't let the addict off easy, right? Look at this dirtbag. He robbed banks. Like, he admits the stuff he did. He was a con man, right? Made infomercials, all these people that he ripped off, and we're just going to give him a free pass now, right? Because he was an addict. They want the addict to suffer. They want your quitting to be the worst story ever. They really want to hear about how bad it is. God forbid you say, oh, no, I found a doctor who said, you know what? You don't even have to get sick. And this doctor kind of held my hand through the entire process. And you know what? I was able to get off the stuff without any pain, right? That makes a lot of people sick. They want us to suffer, which is pretty awful, right? But they want us to suffer. Sorry. Blake, you know what? The family dynamic thing is tough, right? It is. It's really tough. But this rant, people, this rant, honestly, is about allowing us, all of us, maybe get a little bit, maybe get a little bit thicker skin than we have today, right? Uh, if telling you to journal is threatening your safe space, damn, you know what I mean? Like Tammy Smith says, worst withdrawal ever was Xanax. This is the time on the Lifeboat where I say, if you are getting ready to quit anything, talk to your doctor before you do it. Like our friend who was talking to the doctor concerning quitting alcohol. God bless you. Talk to your doctor because Xanax and all of its cousins in the benzodiazepine family and alcohol both can kill you if you go off of them cold turkey. If you have an established enough habit, just cold turkeying it can cause you to go into seizures that will kill you. Sorry, it will. It will absolutely kill you. Kestrel says kratom or kratom is a wicked withdrawal. Do you know why it's a wicked withdrawal, Kestrel? Huh? Because it works on the mu receptor. You know what else works on the mu receptor? Every other friggin' opiate on the planet. So all of the people who say it's a safe alternative, you know what? It's an alternative. It's an alternative. I don't know whether or not it's safe. And I'm not judging anybody for taking that either. But don't lie to yourself. You're swapping something that attaches to the mu receptor to get you high for something else that attaches to the mu receptor and get you high. Now, if you're saying same thing with Suboxone, Tommy, no, it's not. One is an agonist, right? And an antagonist. And what you get with kratom is you have a pure, you put it in there, it turns the key, you get the release of chemicals, and you get high. It is much safer than opioids. I'm not going to argue that point, Kestrel. I am not going to argue that point. Here's my two problems with it. Number one is there is zero quality control. Zero. They have flown under the radar by calling it all kinds of silly things, dietary supplements, whatever. But they fly under the radar, so there's no Food and Drug Administration or anything even remotely like that. So we don't know from one batch to another what's in there. Florence, I've heard a lot of people say that, and God bless you. Again, I don't judge people for how they get off of stuff, but don't BS yourself, right, to what it is. It is absolutely something that attaches to the mu receptor. It is, it is what it is. Yeah, I believe this, Nikki. Nikki says, when I cut out all forms of sugar and sweetener by day 3, I felt like I was having a heart attack. I've heard this from so many people. I've basically cut out. I don't do sugar stuff in my diet much these days. I'm hyper focused at this point on health, probably to a degree that borders not being healthy. Florence says natural leaf extracts that can contain tianepin. Tianepin, this is interesting, right? Tianepin, this gets marketed under names like Zaza Red. Remember some of the other ones, but this is it's often nicknamed gas station heroin. This is a drug that was given out in France and was quite popular. But you could buy it over the counter, and the French government got concerned about people who were starting to abuse it, and they made it a prescription only drug. It's frightening, Florence, and maybe the people growing it, and that's great. The more you can be careful, the better. But whatever they're putting into the bags to ship out, there's just nobody there to make sure that what they're saying is what they're saying, and it's kind of frightening. But um, but I'm glad. I mean, always 100% of the time, right? The other option these days is what? Fentanyl. Go ahead and grab you that kratom, right? Go ahead and grab it because kratom is a way better choice than fent is. Make no mistake, right? It is 1,000 times safer than fentanyl. Everybody hear that? When I say I'm not going to BS you, I'm not going to BS you on either side of it. You are 1,000 times safer doing kratom than you are doing that garbage. But know what it's doing, right? Know what it's doing inside you. Um, it's something that absolutely has helped a lot of people. Now, I worked with a very wealthy businessman in Reno, and if you've been on the boat for a long time, you probably remember this. He met with me and was very serious about coming onto the lifeboat, and then I think he got cold feet. He started getting. Please don't say that, Shannon. Please don't say that. Please don't say that. It's number one, it's not worth it. It really isn't. And it's just it's bad stuff, people. I could go off on a rant on fent, but here's the thing. I've done fentanyl, right? I've done a bathtub full of fentanyl, but the fentanyl I did wasn't this analog crap that they've got on the street currently, right? The stuff that we were doing came out of a pharmaceutical big pharma lab, and you can hate them. I do, but every dose is the same, right? Their quality control is vicious, right? You never got an Oxycontin 80 and went, the last one had more legs, right? Or the last one kind of punched a little harder. If you did something wrong, maybe, right? But from one oxy to the next, you got a very consistent product. And what is on the street today is not that. This is an alpha fentanyl. It's an analog of fentanyl, and they're saying 60% of the doses that they're catching have more than 2 milligrams of fent in it. Right, 2 milligrams will be the amount that will kill someone normally. Now, probably not me because of the abuse that I did to my MU receptors. It would be a very difficult thing, probably for 2 milligrams to take me out. But if you've never done dope before, or the last time you did it, it was actually a Percocet 30. And now this time you're like, oh, just do a Perc 30. You crush it up and snort it, and you're doing fent. It will absolutely change your outlook. It's a dangerous drug. Tommy, I have issues with binge eating. I gain 40 pounds in half a year. My husband is sick and has been for most of our marriage. I've dealt with my grief in ways they want to say are acceptable now. So I'm not a life coach, but I play one on YouTube. Right, whether I like it or not, I end up taking the role of life coaching sometimes, and I'm working with an individual right now who is using well, we'll call it Ozempic because everyone will know what I'm talking about, right? It's not Ozempic, but it's the same concept. He is on a slightly stronger version of the same thing, the one that they're hoping will help you lose up to 26% of your body weight in the first year. And it's working like a charm. He is absolutely losing weight. It's falling off his body. You know what? He's depressed as hell, viciously depressed. Guess why? Because this was comfort food that he put all of that weight on with. He was eating as a coping mechanism. And when he was no longer hungry and couldn't talk himself into eating as a coping mechanism, there was not another one in place. And we're working on it now, right? We're working on it now. But this is a very frightening thing. And Joey girl, this is real. This is no different than me putting a needle in my arm. You understand that? This is called the lifeboat because we are all in the same boat. The mechanism going on in your brain, it's not that different than the mechanism going on in my brain. It's not. In fact, it's so similar. If you're a parent or a grandparent, right? Have you ever watched your kid if you take away their cell phone? Take away a cell phone from a kid and say, for the next 3 hours, there's going to be no social media of any kind. I defy you, if you watch that from a distance filming it, to tell me that those kids are not heroin addicts waiting for a dope dealer to pull into the parking lot and drop off smack. It's identical. It's identical. They freak out the same way, the same, nervous gestures. And, this isn't from the drug. These are little nervous, self-soothing gestures that it's terrifying. But we are all in the same boat. Yeah. So just know that you really are using food as a coping mechanism. I'm so thankful for your influence. Well, thank you, Joey Girl. I refuse to take drugs to lose weight. I have gained through emotional issues I have to fix. The side effects are not worth any of it. I have to try to fix my brain. You know what? It's a lot more satisfying. I promise you, in the long run, it is a lot more satisfying. Finding out why you are who you are, right? Have you been doing the prompts? So you people writing out, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. Am I going to hurt anybody's feelings by telling you to do the damn prompts, right? Journal. We've given you exactly what to write about. And they seem innocuous, right? My son was giving an example this morning. The captain said, traditions were big. He really remembered Halloween, right? Probably because his dad was an idiot and really liked to do the Halloween thing. I love taking him out and going to houses and stuff. That was always really a good time. But a very simple, innocuous question that starts you writing, and you start writing about Valentine's Day and the one in October, Halloween, and going out with family and all of the things associated with it. And the next thing you know, you start to remember some things. Like maybe dad missed one of those, right? Maybe dad wasn't there for one of those Halloweens. Why, right? This is how you start to accidentally peel an onion, and you will get to something. I remember the day where I went, oh my God, right? I remember the feeling of terror. And literally, that's what it was. There was a feeling inside of me that you could only describe as terror. And it was something that I was living with probably 40% of the time that I was conscious. It was bad. And you know what? Not anybody's fault, is what it is, but it was bad. And weed knocked the edge off that. Didn't get rid of it, but it certainly knocked the edge off. And Coke did too, right? For 7 or 8 hours, mushrooms or acid would knock it out completely. I was learning through trial and error which drug did what, right? Because there were drugs that would keep me from having that horrific feeling, or keep me from ants and focusing in on my own problems, right? There were drugs that could keep me awake for 3 days, and during that 3 days, I wouldn't do any of that weird stuff, right? Shannon Smith says, by journaling the last few days, I realize I have serious memory losses. I do too, right? This is the story of my life. But if you're struggling with cognitive decline, if you're struggling with the ability to remember, may I suggest journaling, right? It's the external hard drive. It is the ability to take what normally would have been up here and put it someplace else, as well as up here, because up here isn't exactly the way it used to be, right? The old gray matter, she ain't what she used to be. But you know what? I'm still getting it done. And I'm still feeling pretty damn good about myself, if you want to know the truth. Right? But how long have I been journaling? Well, I have journaled at times in my life. It's something that I did going back to probably my late 20s and early 30s. I started to journal, but I never was organized. I would write. I didn't keep it in the same place. I was really kind of disorganized with it. And when I met Q, he gave me a whole series of books that he wanted me to read, and a lot of them were biographies, and everybody journaled, right? I was reading journals from people 150 years ago, and their journals are still around because this was such a huge part of everyone who was successful. And he very, very succinctly was able to convince me that everyone successful does this, right? Why would you not copy successful people? Because what you're trying to do, Tommy, is the most important thing that you've ever tried to do, right? Being a successful YouTuber doesn't mean shit stuff, right? It doesn't. Being a great skier doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. Being sober means being a good dad, being a good son, being a good brother, being a good husband, being a good whatever, right? Everything hinges on that sober thing. It's the most important thing you're ever going to do, ever, Tommy. So maybe start copying people who are successful in what they do. Because if you fail, you're going to come back to prison and spend the rest of your life with me. I dig the guy, but I don't have any desire to go back and spend the rest of my life with him. Right? Um, but this is the real world. Yeah, for real. We find ourselves. You find yourself in a situation, right? Most of us, midlife, right? Midlife, um, where you're moving forward or you're moving backwards. Yeah, you're finding yourself at the halfway point of life, going, "I'm not happy. I'm I'm not thin enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not handsome enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not rich enough. I don't have enough followers on Facebook, right? I don't get enough thumbs up on the things that I put up on Instagram. Was trying for months to find a doctor to taper me off my benzodiazepine. The three I consulted with wanted me to go off a quarter a week, so I would be off in a month. I think, and I'm not a doctor, right? Seems kind of quick. I tell people this is my humble opinion. I'm not a doctor. Consult with yours. I'm a drug addict. But my opinion is there is nothing wrong with taking a hell of a long time, right? To step down off anything. Take your time, right? Why do you have to be in a hurry? If you're moving in the right direction, make it as painless as you possibly can. And I think you increase the odds of success. I've seen this, and I have seen this to be true. It just is what it is. I've seen it to be true. Are seizures guaranteed if you stop benzo cold turkey? If you've been taking 1 milligram of Klonopin a day for 8 years, Klonopin has a long half life, but I have skipped a week and nothing. And nothing happened. Are there signs? Union Hill, clonazepam, right, which is what you're taking, is the top of the food chain. Right, that's the strongest of the benzos. There are stronger benzos, but they're not on the market. Right, that's about the strongest benzo out there that people are actually getting prescriptions for on the regular. Yeah, and 1 milligram a day for 8+ years is enough to put you into seizures. Does everybody seize? No, but the odds are in your favor that you're gonna have a seizure if you keep playing that game, right? Don't take off 8 days. Don't do things like that, because here's the thing: it only takes one, right? It only takes one seizure, and if there's somebody right there, and if they, maybe, but the other captain of the lifeboat before Spanx Calhoun, the other captain was Mark Wages, and Mark watched somebody seize and die in rehab with a room full of people, medical professionals around. So, yeah, I would be really, really frightened to don't cold turkey off a Klonopin, please. Talk to your doctor, right? Do a little research, right? I'm not being a smart aleck, but read about this. And what you will find is that our body really gets a dependency, right, on benzos and on alcohol. Those two are the ones that really scare the crap out of me. That's it's just it's a little frightening to me. Question: if you're unable to journal by writing, set up an email address, type it, or talk it into your phone and send an email. Never had to look at it, and nobody ever has to know it is there, just for you. I love that. I love that. I think that's a really good idea. If that's something that you're tripping about, do that. Because of the lifeboat, let me blow this up because today my eyes are just not doing it. Because of the lifeboat, I know that was not the way. So I made a decision to do it myself. I read about it a lot, and I'm doing a 5% taper a month. Good for you. That's way, yeah. And I think that's a great idea. Um, Klonopin 2 milligrams for 10 years. That is a lot of Klonopin. 2 milligrams. That'll black most people out for real, especially if you've never done it before. Klonopin is no joke, right? No joke. I always say it, but it bears repeating. Season coming out of alcohol was horrible, and you don't want to chance it. Thank you, Valerie. Right? This is no longer the theoretical. Right? Listen to somebody that knows exactly what that is like, and it's. I've watched it with booze. There was a period of time in my life where the people that I partied with, and that's the terrible term, the people I did dope with every single day. One was a very old Vietnam veteran and his friend, and the two of them were five sheets to the wind alcoholics. They were also both addicted to heroin, but if they didn't drink every single day, they were going to go into the DTS. And I remember waiting for the drug dealer to come and drop off dope, and my friend's got a fistful of cash and he needs booze, but I'm the only one that can drive him to the store. I was the only guy with a car, and I'm like, I'm not leaving here because I'll miss the drug dealer. And while I forced him to wait for about 45 minutes for the fine balloon spitting drug dealer to show up, he seized up and started to really go through it, and it was horrific. It was one of the scariest things in the world to watch. And a woman across the street, a black woman that had to be in her mid 70s, came running out in a house dress with a bottle, right, with a fifth. And I don't even remember what the booze was. I remember that it was clear. It was a clear liquid, but we were honestly trying to pour the stuff down his throat. It's a pretty frightening damn uh, disease. I know that there are a lot of people who suffer from alcohol abuse disorder, alcoholism, right? That will tell you they get up in the morning and it's a challenge to keep the first mouthful down, because if you can't keep it down, you're going to get, so they're vomiting each one and I've watched people do 8 or 9 of those in a row, trying to keep one down so that the medicine will do what it needs to do. It's frightening, right? Really, really frightening. But that's kind of where we're at. That's what we're. This is the most insidious disease in the world because it is the only disease that makes you want to scream, "I don't have it." Right? Every other disease makes you want to go down there and get treated. And I'm not just talking about addiction. I'm talking about mental illness. Right? Mental illness. Nobody wants to say I'm mentally ill. I am, and I don't have a problem in any way, shape, or form saying that. I don't. In fact, I'll be really honest with you. I can't tell you the relief that finding out who I was and getting to the center of that onion. What a relief that was to me. I bought into society when society said, "You're not a good person, right? You were born bad. So here's your lot in life. Here are the people that you're going to live with, and you're going to live behind bars, right? And it's kind of animal back there, but you're kind of an animal." That's honestly, I bought into that. And once you do, once that is, once you go, I'm a career criminal, right? They call you in court, recidivist, uh, habitual criminal offender, career criminal, right? All of these things. And you go, you know what? I was born wrong. There was something wrong with me at birth. So when I got to a point where I went, I'm not a bad person, right? I did some jacked up stuff, but um, once I could trace back, what caused me to do dope, because when I eliminate dope from my life, I'm a completely different person. Um, Thank you. Tara Smiley says, I used to be mentally ill, but I'm in recovery now. I've improved so much. I don't view myself the same anymore. That's new. Well, that's a beautiful thing, right? That's a beautiful thing. That was the ultimate gift of the journaling and the peeling of the onion for me, because once I figured out the problem and I eliminated the dope, uh, I was amazed at just how fast I started to figure out all of these things about who I was, right? It's an adventure to at 46 to go, okay, now we'll take the car cover off of this thing and see what's under it. Because if you spend, the vast majority of your time on planet Earth wasted, I assure you, you're not going to know who or what you are when you sober up. But if that sounds scary as hell, I promise you, it's also exciting to beat crap. Union Hill says, is the seizure delayed though? I can't answer that question. Even if I could, I wouldn't, because I'm not a doctor. You really need to talk to one, especially with benzos, because this is a terrifying possibility, right? This is a drug that causes a very different kind of dependency. I was addicted, I was dependent and addicted to opiates for 3 decades. And they could throw me in a prison cell and let me roll around on the ground for 14 days to kick. They did it all the time. You can't do that with somebody on benzos. In fact, most opiate addicts, when they go to jail and the people come up and say, do you do any drugs? They lie and say they do benzos, because then they're going to have to give you benzos. They can't cold turkey you. So most, opiate addicts know that when they get to jail, they go, yeah, I'm taking Klonopin. I do 5 milligrams a day. Then they're going to put you on what they call the benzo protocol, which is stepping you off from one benzo to the next and doing it down, down, down. So I don't know whether or not it will happen a week later. I don't know. I think most people would say logic says that that's not the case, but logic has nothing to do with addiction. I promise. Don't do the logic thing. Don't think, well, it's I've been safe for 4 days. I got nothing to worry about. I would not go that route, and I certainly would talk to a doctor. I mean, unless there is something major, there's a huge impediment in your way that is keeping you from talking to a doctor. Talk to them. But if it's a stupid thing like stigma or something like that, then you need to buck up, buttercup, and talk to your doctor, because this is literally the first step for the rest of your life. If you're on benzos, you need intervention. Right? You got to call an intervention. You need help, and you're going to have to bring somebody in to help you. And God bless it. Look, there are people whose tolerances are insane, and for whatever reason, right, they don't experience any of those things. I had a cellmate in a county jail who came in, and I was horrifically sick because I didn't have my drug. And by about day 2, he started to get sick. And I said, "Oh, are you addicted to opiates?" He said, "No, benzos." I'd never seen anybody vomiting and stuff coming off of benzos. And I said, "How much are you doing?" He was doing mountains of them. And I remember thinking to myself, this dude's going to die in my cell. Right? There's no way he doesn't seize up. The amounts he was telling me, I mean, it almost didn't sound real. You know what I mean? Like there were days he was doing a dozen 1 milligram Klonopins. And I'm just thinking, this guy's going to seize up and go. There's no way, right? He's going to end up no longer among the living. But it didn't happen. Not I am says, in my family, no one has anything wrong with their brains. I was petrified to seek care. 1 year for Lent, I gave up my fear and went to a psychiatrist on Good Friday. Close, but I did it. Nice. Very nice. Not an easy thing to do. Jeremy Shelton quotes the late, great Mitch Hedberg, who said, I used to do drugs. Still do, but I used to too. He was a very, very funny and talented comedian who we lost too soon. Mitch was great. He was super, super funny, and yeah, he is missed. All right, Christy, be careful. Hope between the dreams. You know what? Can we get some ones for hope between the dreams? You need some thoughts and prayers. We got ya. We got ya. You know what? Let me see. I missed something. I hate it when I miss something. I'm not very bright though. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed something. I have a real issue with people who invade privacy. So if that's what I was seeing, The journal thing, I've been super open and honest about how I feel about this. Yeah, I talked about my son's journal sitting on the floor of my bedroom for I don't know how long, when he first moved out here, and I'd rather get shot. It is psychological R word. That's what it is, right? To look at someone's deepest thoughts without their permission is no different to me than an essay of the mind, and uh, it's horrific. I'm very sorry to anyone that that has happened to. Valerie 102, God bless, be safe, and thank you for joining me here. No way, Yahusha's disciple. Good to see you. I'm a huge fan of yours. It's a long time no see. But a lifeboater who knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? And has risen above. Thank you, Calhoun. Miss Sunrise Dawn expressed that she doesn't feel her journals are safe with a certain person she lives with. Okay, here are the two options I would go with. If you feel like your journal is not safe, the two options I would go with would be to use a computer to do it, right? So that you can email something off, because encryption is actually pretty decent stuff. And if your passwords are not known to the person that you live with, then you're safe, right? Um, so doing it online, I think, is a great idea. You can also speak it. So a lot of times, like if I'm walking, I just use the voice memo on my phone and I talk into it. Uh, am I going to go back and listen to it? Probably not. But what happens is, boom, like if I feel the need to talk, it's because something just happened that I need to explore in my brain, right? This is something I need to chase down, so I do it. um Blake says, I agree, Tommy. It is an invasion of the deepest space a person can make for themselves to handle their problems. You literally taking every semblance of privacy a person could have by reading it. You're right, Blake. Beautifully said. You know, doesn't surprise me, but Blake said that better than me. That's just a um, beautiful way to put it. It's terrifying that someone would do it, but it happens. Okay, this is a great question, Tommy. What do you feel about writing letters without sending to people you feel incomplete pain has not been spoken? I am a massive advocate in writing letters to people as a way to get closure. Uh, if the person is no longer among the living, right? It's a great tool to help you. And I know people that have gone to gravesides and burned letters, to relatives. I know people who save the letters. I will write letters to my father in my journal. It's just something that I do often, because I will have a thought, and I will think, I really wish I could have said this. And I'm not a guy who can live with, I really wish I had said this. Right? So I need to not just journal, but it gives me an opportunity to the people who don't respect privacy have never been on the receiving end of privacy invasion, in my opinion. Yeah, Captain, I think you're probably right, because it is such a painful thing. And what's sad is it is really hard. Thank you, Scottsdale Nancy. I appreciate that. It's very hard in prison. You want to talk about trust? When they come in, they're going to read your journal. That's it. They're going to read your journal. Plain and simple. I mean, in their defense, they have to. I could be there saying which correction officers I plan on taking out, right? You can completely understand where they're coming from, but do you know what that feels like? I've told the story before. I had so back to Tara Smiling, right? The I guess the real answer for how long I've been journaling consistently now is not almost 9 years, but there is a solid year missing, 8 months to a year missing, because they just took it and threw it out, just to be dicks, actually, which kind of sucks. But I am a huge advocate for writing letters. Please do it. You will not believe how much better you will feel afterwards. Anne says, There is a method uh, for writing letters. I feel helps me work through things with others. It is called the love letter technique. It is an awesome tool. You know what? I am a firm belief in anything that is a tool, right? Anything that you can do that makes life easier. As a as somebody that as somebody that talks to people for a living, I was always looking for any kind of mnemonic device. I was always looking for any kind of tool of any kind that provides a structure, right? That provides a structure to a speech or to a conversation or to because honestly, we're not very good at it. And it's like me and my writing. If you're not very good at certain aspects of communication, what do you do with them? You skip them, and that is where we break. That is where the connection doesn't work out, right? And that's our problem. Nobody would read my journal. However, I don't know what a good starting point is. I just don't know where to begin. Probably matters not. Tell you what, Amanda dear, um, every single night this week, um, you know what, Kristen? That's a very cool concept. I'm going to visit that in a moment because that's a really cool concept. Uh, so every single night this month, Captain Spanky will be putting up the prompts for a journal assignment of sorts. It is telling you what to write. It's a question and answer style. He's asking you a question, and the question is designed very often just to get your hand going. Right? That's the purpose of any kind of a journal like this. Because if you were to be hit with something that is really kind of life, causing you to really reflect on every page, you'll quit in 3 days and it would be too much. Honestly, there's a reason that you don't do it that way. You just sort of let it go, and the subject matters that come up, like Halloween, all of a sudden you start talking about Halloween and you start thinking about mom, dad, right, early childhood. Go and take what Spanky has put up there. He puts every night, he puts the one you're supposed to do right before you go to bed, and at the same time he's giving you the morning prompt. So as far as excuses, right, I think we're all out of them. Honestly, this is a great opportunity. Wow, goosebump. Says, I have a confession. When I was 15, while looking for blank paper in my mom's desk, I stumbled across what was effectively her journal. I read it. I would never have done that once I grew up. Um, and I hope it didn't scar you for life, right? Honestly, I would. There's nothing on earth that would scare me more than reading the journal of my parents. God help me. What a terrifying concept. Um, Sophia says, I had to hide everything I cared about as a child because if my mom's family found out you cared about something, they messed with it. Uh, wow. My aunt threw my underwear to the ground once just to be a jerk, right? Lovely. Well, welcome to a family of people that are never going to treat you that way, right? Welcome to the boat. Um, Blake says, Adamanda Deer 0812. I recommend you write that exact comment on the first page and just keep writing and going from there. That's how it's done. Blake, you're a stud, right? And I missed Zenwen. Thank you, Z Dub. See the gifted a membership. Thank you, Z Dub, for always being just so supportive of the boat. I love Zenwen. A great person. I think if you're doing it, then you're doing it right, says Tara. That's been my experience, right? How do you know if you're journaling correctly? Well, if you're writing, that's a good sign. Um, and if you're doing it more than once a day, right? I think that effective journaling is at night and in the morning. That's a lock. That's a guarantee. And then as you start to develop more, you're probably going to want to have something on you so that you can bust out with it quick if you need to. If a thought hits you or something happens, because very often um, an epiphany will strike you. You will get hit with something where you go, "Oh my lord!" If you do not write that down, do you think it sticks with you? Maybe at 30, right? Maybe that's happening to Quibble. It's not happening to the Admiral. I promise you. If very often, and I know a lot of you who know me personally, we'll be in the middle of a conversation and someone will go, "Oh, that reminds me." Forget it. It's that simple. Everything I was just talking about is gone. And if the person that I'm with says, here's what you were talking about, 9 out of 10 times, that's not even going to bring me back. Right. I don't, My focus is not in the ballpark of where it used to be. It's just not, right? Part of the part of the deal. Perfectionism not recommended by me. Hate it. You know what? Perfectionism is it's fascist anyway, right? I couldn't stand people that got straight A's for the same reason. You know what I mean? What are you doing? Screwing up the bell curve for the rest of us. Beat it. And the rest of us. I never applied myself at all. I mean, I did when I got to college, but I got to college in my 40s, so by then it was a slightly different animal. Do you have a theory why lorazepam, also a benzo to treat insomnia and anxiety? Yeah, that's the name brand Ativan. How is it the same drug given intravenously to stop a seizure? Is tapering the only protocol for withdrawal? So lorazepam, uh, how is it the same drug given intravenously to stop a seizure? Now, I don't know if they're giving, I mean, they probably have used lorazepam for that. They've used Valium for that, right? I'm sure they use a litany, right, of different benzos. The doctor who used that probably, for whatever reason, thinks Ativan is a better choice. Maybe it's because the hospital doesn't have alprazolam in liquid, right, or diazepam in liquid. Maybe that's what they've got. But the reason that they would use that is the only way to come off of it is to step it off. They want you to gradually taper off your dose. That is the only protocol. There is no others. And the reason that they will give you it's the same reason that we were trying to pour booze into my friend's mouth, right? That's the antidote. It's what's causing the problem, and it is also most assuredly the antidote. Sadly, right? But that's why. Uh, I have a notebook of all plans to quit and how I was going to do it, how I was going to taper and cheat withdrawal. Um, I look at it and I am so glad to not deal with that anymore. Avena Sativa. Really funny. I was talking to an old friend of mine the other day, and he is a recovered heroin addict. He lived the same life that I did. And I was talking about all of the problems I had in my life, right? All of the things that there's a lot going on. And I was kind of listing them off the way we do when we complain to an old friend. And my friend, when I was done talking, he went, "Yeah, sounds awful. It does. But when you wake up in the morning, you don't need a fix." And it's, it's one of those things that every once in a while I should probably just say to myself in the mirror, because for 30 years before my foot hit the floor, right, the thought was, I need a shot. I'm sick. It's an awful way to live. Absolute awful way to live. Doesn't work to potential is my life story. Neurodivergence is crazy stuff. I heard that phrase quite a lot myself, actually. Uh, they would say that I was lazy. Was the one that they would use a lot for me, and I've said many times on the show, I latched on to lazy with both arms, right? Wrapped my legs around it because I didn't like dumb. And I was coming to the conclusion that all of the people who thought I was smart were wrong because I couldn't do the things that the people sitting next to me could do. So when the first time somebody said, "No, the reason he can't do this is just because he's lazy," I thought, there you go. I can do lazy, right? And I think it dovetails into being a druggie, right? Dovetails into hanging out with the pot crowd, right? I understand, Kestrel says I wasn't lazy. I just could not do busy work the way they wanted me to. They just didn't understand how I learned. That was the problem with me, right? Q did, right? Q certainly understood how to get me to understand concepts, right? He understood that the external hard drive was the key to everything about me. I had to write things down, read my own words, put it back into me if I had any hopes at all of being even remotely normal. So the journaling thing was huge. Not working to my potential is how I have viewed myself for years now. I'm working to adjust my thinking, working to discover the contours of my potential, varying day to day. Goosebumps? Well done. Well done. Kristen Melinda says, I didn't get lazy. I got low frustration tolerance. You do not suffer fools gladly. If I didn't get it right away, I'd burst into tears. Wow, that would be a bummer. Wow, that would be a bummer. I I dated I married a woman who would cry over an A minus, and she was in college while we were married, and grades were such a thing to her. It never, it made no sense to me. It made absolute no sense to me at all. But that was, and I'm not trying to put people on blast at all, but so often, even if parents don't mean to, this is the start of conditional love, right? I love you when you get good grades. I love you, when you score a bunch of points in football, or I love you when you're whatever, right? Whatever it is. P. Taylor, you can email, email Spanx Calhoun. I'm sure he can get you up to speed on all things lifeboaty. Uh, I want more than anything for this entire month, right? I want 14 days of your life. How's that? I want 14 days of your life. For 14 days, I want you to journal. I want you to get up in the morning and I want you to journal. And before you go to bed, I want you to journal. I want you to do it for 14 days. And then you can come back, right? Then you can come back and you can tell me that I'm an idiot and that it doesn't work, right? The unconditional love thing. It's an entire show, right? It's an entire show. But it is the grades thing. You believe it or not, people, that one was less of a cognitive decline and more of a I don't really want to put the people that I'm talking about on blast. It's not my place, right? But we all know what conditional love is, and we've all seen it so many times from parents, and it's awful, isn't it? Right? It's kind of sad, isn't it? But very often, if we don't hit it out of the park in our life, we get that thought of, well, we're going to make sure that our kid does, and we're going to live vicariously through the success of our children. And it's one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. It's just plain ugly. Yeah, the mouse is back. Good, 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 good. Miss Ivy, good to see you. Sandy Wendy, how are you? Brianna Miller, I don't think I said hi to you. Is it acceptable to curse whilst we journal? Uh, like we'll do it, but we're going to piss and moan while we do it. Yeah, no, that's legit. That's legit. Um, I don't much care how much peeing and moaning you do, providing you journal for 2 weeks, and then just tell me how it didn't change your life, and go back to doing whatever you were doing. Right? You do it, and really give it, a lot time. Right? I give 15 minutes a night, 15 minutes in the morning. Give yourself 5. Give yourself whatever you're comfortable with, but write at night and in the morning, and do it for 14 days. We have questions for you to answer. Just start the process and watch what happens. Wolf Machine says, I used to think drugs helped me reach my potential, but I found I had the potential all along after quitting dope, coke, and Klonopin. This is something I understand, right? Because I did the same thing. And when I was a speaker, I thought I got to this point where to go on stage, I needed heroin because it calmed me down. I didn't even have the first 3 or 4 minute jitter that you get when you first go on stage, the butterflies. I got none of that. But the trouble is, then your energy level is down, right? So you got to do smack. And then the second before you go out on stage, you need to do a bump, right? Just a little bit of coke to level it off. And start. There's a drug for everything. There's one to go up, there's one to go down, sideways, right? There's one to love people more, there's one to love people less, right? Something to go to sleep. What is Spank's email? Sober, SOBER at myyahoo.com. SOBER at myyahoo.com. That's not Yahoo, it's my Yahoo. Tara says, Kristen Melinda, I love your use of the word whilst. I'm a fan. I've always been a huge fan of whilst. You can write about the Bee Gees or ABBA in your journal as well. Your journal is just for you. It really is. I do tend to curse in my journal, probably more than considerably more than I do in real life. Sometimes when I'm letting it out, it just flows, and I don't try to to think too much when I'm writing. I really don't. It's a stream of consciousness kind of thing. I don't worry about punctuation. I don't worry about sentence structure. I just write while designing recipes for eating the rich. There you go. Sounds like I'm a fan. I am a fan. But, I'm just starting to journal day and night this morning. Felt so good. The pen just let it flow out. Robin Miners, give it 2 weeks, people. Give it 2 weeks. And you go, you know what? That's not my problem. It's not even why I came here, right? I don't come to the boat because I'm not a journal person or because I come here because put it in there. Doesn't matter what it is. Amanda, I think you have somebody else in mind. It couldn't have been me. Maybe I did. I don't know. That's a possibility, I guess. Brianna says, I curse a lot. I'm too old to care. When I really get rolling, sadly, they sometimes slip out. It to me is a bummer because I use it as a canary in the coal mine. I really do. When I'm cursing, I'm not taking the time to think of words, right? I'm not taking the time to actually use the computer that I got to try to communicate. I'm going to the lowest common denominator. Spanky talked about this morning on the Lifeboat. He said when he was a kid growing up in school, when they said you have to write about this, he wanted to use the least amount of words he possibly could to get the job done because it was sort of a lazy thing, right? But we're going for the exact opposite. We're trying to get the most volume of words that you can get, right? And by the way, if you have allotted 10 minutes for your journaling, and at the end of 10 minutes, you're rolling, kick the clock over and just keep going. If it is flowing out of you, don't stop it. I stop when it stops. It's organic. I definitely, I'm never going to cut myself off. Yes, Amanda, I think I do remember that. Yes, now I do remember that. Avina Steva says, I'm going to try journaling as opposed to my flow charts and see where the narrative goes in that stream of consciousness confetti. I like it. I really do. I like it. I like the visual of the stream of consciousness confetti. I dig it. It's a very cool visual image, and I like it. It is the weekend, people. You know what that means, don't you? See, Goosebumps was already on it. Stream of consciousness confetti. It really is a beautiful. I like it. I really like it. Oh, that's funny. 10 years is huge. Oh no, Tara, you will make it. There's no wondering about it. I promise you, and I'm not saying the arrogant thing, but the beautiful thing about sobriety is this one day at a time concept, right? It's rinse and repeat. We're never going to learn anything new about sobriety after about the fifth day, right? Honestly, we're not. It's rinse and repeat. We have to overcome things that make us want to use every day, rinse and repeat. Get good at it, rinse and repeat. And then maybe the time in between those days where you want to get high, maybe you go 2 weeks without even thinking about it. Maybe you go a month and you go, oh my Lord, eh? Thank God. That first year is absolutely, Amanda's right. The first year is the hardest. Sure, it is. Because everything you're doing for the first time, sober, right? I remember everything was a new experience. Like I was going down to the chow hall. I hadn't eaten, it's just not a part of my life that I did sober. I didn't do anything sober, right? So it was always the first news. What do the ERs do for you if you are experiencing severe opiate withdrawal? Do they make it rough? Do they make you rough it out? And only give you nausea meds or non-opiate meds? They're not very good about giving people opiates if they come to a emergency room in withdrawal for obvious reasons, right? You talk about putting a milk out for a kitten. You got any idea what would happen if you started saying, oh, you're sick, here, have some opiates? That emergency room would have every single opiate addict on planet Earth in there at the same time saying, hey, help. So what they usually do, if you go in there, there's not much treatment that they're going to do. What they're going to say is you're in opiate withdrawal, right? If there's a bed open at a facility, sometimes they'll send you over there, right? They do try to get you into a system so that they can assist you, but they're not doing anything at the emergency room at all. So because again, there's not much you can do. If you give the person opiates, you're extending. Unlike benzodiazepines, right? Stepping off of an opiate doesn't work. It just doesn't, right? I'll get an email. I did it. Congratulations. The vast majority of people cannot. I certainly couldn't, right? And we all think about it. Oh, well, I'm doing a gram a day. I'm going to cut down to 3 grams. No, it never works. It's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. It's not something that you can do. I promise. I deal with so much anxiety and I have multiple medical conditions and I love writing in a journal, but my therapist said it got unhealthy because I'll write for hours at night when I can't sleep. If you can't sleep, why would writing be unhealthy? Um, Truthfully, if I can't sleep, I'm journaling. Right? That's it. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, if you're writing for 6 hours while you should be sleeping, I think that's a little scary. I think everything on planet Earth, we can do too much of, right? We can have too much sex. We can have too much food. You absolutely can hurt yourself with things that aren't bad for you, right? So keep it in perspective. But boy, I'd rather have you doing more journaling than doing more dope. The only opiate I enjoy is Tool's second album, Killer Record. Okay, I don't know that one. Yeah, Kristen Melinda says you might just you might just get up out of the bed and go somewhere else to write. That way, your brain doesn't pair sleeplessness with being in the bed. That's a really astute suggestion. You get what she's saying? You don't want you don't want you don't want your brain, even at a subconscious level, to think journal, bed, can't sleep, right? All of this is just, as it starts to become a thing that you associate one with the other, it's going to make sleeping far more difficult. Thank you, Kristen Melinda. Always interesting. I'm scared of getting sober. Going to have to learn how to be a normal person again. I don't remember who I was. Oh, wow. Good comment. Boy, that took guts to write, didn't it? Huh? That could not have been easy to write, Brianna Miller. I'm scared of getting sober. Going to have to learn how to be a normal person again. And I don't remember who I was. I didn't remember who I was either at all. So, you know what I did, Brianna? Honestly, I didn't wait to find out. I designed who I wanted to be, right? With the help, again, of Q, I sat down with a piece of paper and I said, I'm going to eliminate the drugs. Who do I want to be? I want people to be able to count on me. I want people to be able to believe me, right? And you go down the list of who you want this new person to be, right? But the most important thing on that list was I needed to be sober. And the fruit of addiction is lying, right? So honesty was another huge one. Hold on one second. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, so they won't start you on a Suboxone in the ER. Isn't that the perfect time yeah, it is the perfect time for Suboxone. When you've been in withdrawal for 24 hours, that is the perfect time. Why won't they do that? Well, here's the deal. If they do that, then they turn you loose, right? And you go back out into the world and you run and gun and do dope until the next time that you can't steal enough money to get high, borrow enough money to get high, con people to get money. When everything else dries out, you'll go right back to the emergency room and get another strip of Suboxone. It's putting that saucer of milk out, right? Addicts will always go back to anybody that helped them. If you give them $25 to buy dope, they're going to come back to you and come back to you and come back to you. They'll forget a lot in life. They will not forget anybody that helped them get high in any way. I promise you. So, yes, it would be a logical time to give Suboxone. The problem is that you have to remember that we're talking about a segment of the population that uh, they need this like we need oxygen. And if they know they can get fed at the emergency room will be so overrun with addicts in minutes. Look at what has happened to places like Oregon, where you know that there are certain laws that are very advantageous. People from all over the United States, homeless people from all over the US, started flocking in there on buses, and it overwhelms the system. It would happen to the first emergency room that handed out the first strip of Suboxone. People from all over the country, I'm not joking, would start making their way there for real. To an addict, right? That act of going, here, you're not sick anymore. There's no way to, that would be, oh, like the the Jesus clouds and the sun shining through, and it's really that big a deal. West Coast Nancy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You just couldn't do it. It's a great concept because that's the time, right? We call it the window of opportunity, and the window of opportunity goes up and down. And when it's open, a person is ready to actually try to quit, right? But it closes just as fast. Portland is in crisis. We're having 3 to 4 children a day OD on fentanyl every day. Not a joke. This is just children, says Kestrel 42. Thank you again, West Coast Nancy. Big love. Really appreciate you. Kestrel, this is um, yeah, you know what? Union Hill, I understand. It's just that they'll never do it. And they won't do it because word of mouth would destroy the hospital in minutes. It really would in minutes. I said earlier that a needle addict who like an opiate addict who goes to jail, the first thing that happens when you go to jail is you meet um, a nurse or a doctor, usually a nurse, comes over and starts asking you through all kinds of medical questions. And right around the time the first person in the city that I lived in went, if you tell them that you're on benzos instead of opiates, they'll put you on a benzo protocol. And for the first week you're in jail, they'll give you enough benzos to keep you asleep. And it makes kicking heroin a lot easier, right? It took 8 minutes for every single person in the city to start doing it. Every time I went to jail, and I went to jail a lot, everybody in there, when they would come in to do the benzo protocol, it would be the entire unit. It's just a word of mouth thing, and it is a great idea. You know, um, yeah, pure opiate dependence. If you're not a drug addict, if you're just dependent, um, more than likely the emergency room probably wouldn't have even been an issue, right? You're probably taking the drugs the way they're on the written on the side of the bottle, and you probably would be the kind of patient to say to a doctor, "Hey, I'm ready to start getting off of this stuff. What's the next option? Where do we go from here? Is it Sublocade? Is it Suboxone? Right? Subutex? What are we going to do so that I can go from here to the next phase of my recovery, which is, I'm not doing this anymore, whatever." People used to overload ERs with toothaches and back pain because they used to hand out narcotics. Yep, until you could see a dentist. Not anymore, ever. I had 16 teeth extracted and got 5 milligram Percocet. Wow. Good Lord. But yes, that is absolutely a fact. There really was, and what happens is eventually they will red flag you. And then no matter where you go in the United States, when they put in your information, it's going to say drug seeking behavior, right? It's going to alert them that you have exhibited in the past drug seeking behavior. You go in there just to get drugs. Now, I used to go in there under other names, right? That's what I did. But I used to fake injuries all the time to get drugs. That's not a dumb question in any way, shape, or form, Shannon. Not a dumb question at all. He says, "Can I ask a dumb question? When you're on pain meds for chronic pain long term, is that addictive to it or more dependent?" Well, I always say this: how are you taking it? Are you running out of your prescription with 5 days left in the month and getting sick and waiting for the next batch? Are you calling friends who you know may have drugs and asking them, if they know where to get pain meds for that last 5 days of the month? Or are you taking it exactly how it is prescribed by the doctor? Because if you're taking it exactly as it's prescribed by the doctor and you're not building up to these incredible tolerances and taking more and more and more and drinking on it and all the things that people do to try to achieve a high, then I would say you're only dependent, right? And what that means is that when it comes time to quit, you're going to go through some withdrawal symptoms, right? Physical withdrawal symptoms because you are dependent. Now, if you're unable to take it the way the doctor is telling you, right? Then chances are, if you are running out with 15 days left in the month, then this is more of a situation where this is a problem. You know, it really is a problem. Thank you, Body Illusion. I appreciate that. And you know what? I feel Avina Sativa says, I only got 3 days of Vicodin for my C-section. So much pain. This was 12 years ago. Good Lord. 3 days of Vicodin for a C-section seems, but knee-jerk reactions. We're in the United States of America. This is what we do best, right? First, we say, give everybody anything they want. No one should ever have to feel pain. That was the OxyContin days. No one, it is a basic human right to live without any pain. That was the thought, right? Shannon says, okay, I would say I'm dependent. I take less than what they say right now for one med, and the other med, I take the regular dose. Yes, then I would say you are dependent. Yep, I would say you are dependent. And especially if you're taking less than what they say. You're treating pain. You're treating pain. Now, I would rather be dependent on pain meds than in pain all day. I would. And there's no reason for any other. But the pendulum does swing. And for a while, we thought if your pain level is at a 1, right? That's horrible. You shouldn't have a pain level. Pain level should be at 0 at all times. That's just not realistic. It's just not realistic at all, especially if you have been tough on your body, and some of us have been very, very tough on our bodies. But it's unrealistic. And we went from that, everybody can have whatever they want, to we're cutting this off cold turkey. You're taking 12 OxyContin 80s a month. 30 days from now, we're not going to let you take anything. So how are we going to figure this out in the next 30 days? I'm not playing. That's how it was done. So we all went to the street, right? We all went to the street, and there weren't pills on the street, but that's what people wanted. So they ended up with heroin, which they were smoking on tin foil. But Tommy, it's been 10 plus years. That's why I'm scared, but my pain can cause me to be in the hospital. It's just hard. Sorry, I'm complaining. No, you're not complaining. And there's nothing wrong with treating pain. Don't feel guilty. And if it's 10 years or if it's 30 years, if you're still taking the medication the way they're telling you to, or you're taking less than that, who cares? You're treating pain. Treat pain. It doesn't matter how many years you've been treating it. You're not abusing this drug. Some people have to take pain meds their entire life. That's why we have an MU receptor. Don't feel guilty for that. If you're abusing it. Honestly, you do. And if you're not abusing it, then don't feel guilty for it, right? You shouldn't be in pain. From the very first prescription, I never didn't run out early. I never managed to take them only as prescribed. You and me both, right? No chance in hell could I ever take it the way that they told me to. I guess the best route is to go to a medical inpatient rehab that can start the process to get off opiates, Suboxone, while receiving meds to keep you comfortable and monitor you. Is that even a thing? If this is the theoretical patient, have the theoretical patient call Quick MD. You download the app, you see a doctor, it's $99. You see a doctor face to face, you talk to them about your opiate dependence. They're going to write you a prescription for Suboxone, right? And that starts the process of taking care of that. And then you can work with, and you would be very comfortable, right? Suboxone takes care of all of that. And then you can work on stepping off the benzo once you've eliminated the need for, having to have opiates in your life. Because honestly, the day you take Suboxone, you're done with it. It's a very unusual thing, but I'm telling you the truth. The day you take Suboxone, it's over. It is a bit of a miracle drug that way. The first day that you're on Suboxone, you're never going to want to do the stuff again, as long as you continue to take it. Tommy, you were talking about weed at the beginning, and I think you were going to make a point about long-term use to solve mental and emotional pain. Did I miss it? Rolling Stone, here's the deal on the weed, right? We are genetically modifying this plant to make it into something a hell of a lot stronger. And we're seeing some pretty unusual things happening because of it. Some of them, like CHS, is really in the news and everybody knows about it. And then there's some stuff like there are people who think in really high doses for some people, this causes some pretty rugged problems, right? Like cannabinoid psychosis. That we're talking about drugs that are a lot different than the ones we were smoking in high school. I don't want you to compare the two because they're not the same. Brianna Miller says if they use benzos to help you get off alcohol, how much of a risk is there that you get addicted to the benzos? Well, it's a protocol, Brianna. So what they do is they're going to give you the benzos for 7 days, and they're going to be stepping the benzos down each day. So the very first day, you're never going to feel, they're not getting you buzzed. They're just making so that you don't jump off a cliff, right? That's what they're trying to stop the process of. They just want that to decline. So they're going to start you off on maybe lorazepam, and then they're going to knock it down to Valium or something else, but they're going to eventually go to a very, very low dose benzo for the last couple of days. The doctor's not going to send you home with a bottle of pills because you would become addicted instantly. Sometimes for folks with a predisposition to psychotic disorders, cannabis does not mix well with their brain chemistry. That's a fact. That is a fact. For example, I have a close relative with schizophrenia, so I was really taking my chances smoking weed as a kid. Well, I'm glad that you're all right, right, Kristen? And if you've never checked out her channel, you should. She's a lot of fun to watch. She really is. Got a great delivery. I really enjoy watching her show. Um, I've had this ex that went slightly paranoid about and got aggravated through weed. No ideas if he stopped, but he should for his own sake. They exist. There is this myth out there that everybody on the planet becomes Bob Marley when they smoke a joint. Right? Everybody goes, there's no reason to fight. Right? Everybody chill out. It's all good. It's like the parking lot at a Grateful Dead concert. And you know what? 9 out of 10. Right? Like what does Quibble say? 9 out of 10 grizzly bears. Right? Well, 9 out of 10 pot smokers really are very laid back. Right? But there are people who get very aggravated. When taking it. Flamin' Jackson says we shouldn't be altering what God created. I agree, they're making cannabis way too strong. Well, and now it's not, I don't know, man. It's like I've heard it referred to as green heroin. And, they say it in jest, they're being funny, but we're talking about a really, really concentrated version of Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. It is not, this ain't my weed, right? This isn't your dad's pot. We're talking about something that is really, really different. And I'm not lecturing anybody here on the evils of cannabis. It's not what I'm doing, right? It's not my get down. I don't lecture people here on the evils of any drug currently except fentanyl, right? Never been an anti-drug channel. I'm an anti-addiction channel. Librium is usually the last. Yes, every time I've been detox for alcohol, they use Librium. That's the last rung on the ladder, Amanda. In benzo protocols, Librium is usually the last one that they give you. RM Blake says, I'm also a chronic pain patient. No shame in treating legit physical pain issues. Thank you, RM Blake. Thank you. Right. And we got to be careful because of what the lifeboat is and because of what we talk about, because I get emails from people that say, you got to help me get off this stuff. And, my question is always, so why are we doing it? Right? Why are we getting off of this stuff in the first place? And very often they can't answer that question. Well, because it's an opiate, right? I got to get off this because it's fentanyl. And that's the stuff that's on this. No, man. Look, if you need pain meds, you need pain meds. Don't compare yourself to me. We're really two different animals. Oh, no. Union Hill. Listen to this. I guess I should have prefaced the comment that I take for chronic pain. No opiate use disorder, taken as prescribed, been wrong for 10 years. I have no good reason to stop the opiate other than the fear of the doc retiring or forward slash stigma. Well, then don't stop taking it. Don't stop taking it. You don't sound like a drug addict to me. Now, you're the only one that can tell if you're a drug addict. If you've been taking it 10 years, you're dependent. Make no mistake, you're dependent. But if you're taking it exactly as prescribed, I do not believe a drug addict can do that. I don't. I've never met one who could. Christine Barbeau. Yes, we are all different, to be sure, right? There's no two people are the same. And in the recovery community, I'm hated because I say things like, if you're smoking pot and you're smoking 2 joints a day and your previous drug of choice, you were doing 9 grams of cocaine a day. Did you swap one drug for another? Yep. Pretty good swap too, right? It's not a bad trade. Let's not beat anybody up too bad for that. Avena Sativa, great comment. Says union, do what works best for your quality of life. There's no reason, as far as stigma goes, look, if you're treating pain, forget the stigma, right? Forget that. Don't let that, please, don't let that, you're going to go live in pain because of the stigma of this drug. Please don't do that. Good God. Please don't do that. And you know what, people, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, don't do that either, right? Treat your pain. Tara says, I'm taking ketamine as prescribed. Does this mean I am a recovered drug addict? I didn't used to be that way. I abuse drugs. Well, Tara, there are drugs that I can take without a problem exactly how they're prescribed because for whatever reason, like if you wrote me a prescription for Adderall, I could take 1 pill of Adderall every single day because I don't like it. I don't enjoy the buzz, right? So, and I'm not feeling anything euphoric from it. If I was feeling something euphoric, well, maybe I would take a little more, right? Or maybe I would get off. But does that mean I'm recovered? No. Give me an OxyContin 30 and see what happens, right? Give me a Percocet 30 and watch what happens. Because that will be, right? That will light my particular fire, right? Now, I abused everything, right? When I was active in life, if you had a drug, I would do it. Like I was pretty equal opportunity, but I had to every day do opiates, and that was, But no, I don't necessarily think that your ability to follow instructions on low rent ketamine means that you're cured, but it certainly means you're moving in the right direction, right? I assumed I was addicted because it had been so long, but I don't know much. I've only taken drugs prescribed by my doc, but still nervous. I'm a worrier of everything. Well, Shannon C., you're not, you really don't seem to miss. I mean, you don't seem to tick the boxes off for drug addict. Now, dependent, I would say absolutely. Um, wow. Shannon C. says, thank you to all who commented. It has really helped me feel less alone. Isn't that lovely? For real. Isn't that lovely? It's connection. My friend has been taking kratom for 5 years and has no idea that she will have withdrawals when she stops. I've tried to tell her I was dope sick and it went away when I took it. Yeah, I mean that's usually I always tell people, did it make dope sick go away? Why do you think that is? Right? It is what it is, right? Hope between the dreams. I have lupus, SLE. I don't know what, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. And hate being on meds, all of them. Have never abused any in 20 years. Thank God for the strength. I think, yeah, this is, I won't make myself popular and I'm not trying to pick on you, but I don't think it has anything to do with strength. I really don't. My strength has not changed, right? I didn't get strong in at 46. I was the same weakling at 46 I was at 45. I found a roadmap that got me out of the forest. You know what I mean? I found a roadmap, and that's really what it was. But I think that there are people who I was born right with the drug addicted gene in me. I would say that that our friends like Shannon, were not born with that addicted gene in them, right? It's not, and that's a beautiful thing. But I don't know that it's a. I'd thank God, but I think I'd thank him for not giving you the disease. Uh, and thank you too, Tommy. Oh, so happy I found you from Reese's channel. Well, thank you, Shannon C. We're really happy you're here. Really, really happy you are here. Thank you, Hope Between the Dreams. I hope I didn't come across as sounding preachy. You know what I mean? Um, but no, I feel strongly on that one because it does get back to that kind of buckle up buttercup kind of an attitude that sometimes it's just and it's part of who we are as a culture and as a society. But with this particular affliction, it tends to hurt people, and we won't allow that. Right? We'll make sure we take care of one another. You want to hear something? Tell me what you think of this. Right? We're gonna walk away here shortly. Made an hour and 40 minutes. I'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna do a all month. I'm going to do this. And I think tomorrow I'll be at 9 o'clock again. This seems to be a pretty good time. You know what? No, I shouldn't say that. I'm not sure I can pull that off. I'll announce it tonight because tomorrow's church. I may be doing this at a different time tomorrow. We'll see. Wow. I got to put this up here just because that sentence is one of the most complete pandemic drug production and digital ecosystems health sector in the Hunter general scientific globally piece. Okay. All righty. You know what I mean? I wanted that one up there. Let's put that one in the book. Hey, this was an incredibly structured for being titled a rant. Honestly, you want to hear something really funny? This is not at all what the show is about. But sometimes when I show up and I start talking to you people, right, that first 8 minutes gets me over whatever I was really angry about. And the next thing you know, we just connect. Tommy, we are a miracle. I just had it hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't be more thankful. And to everyone here on the lifeboat who is also a miracle. Well, I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things in the world is the statement that it takes a miracle to get sober, because it really does. Hey, Ben, it takes a miracle to get sober, but they're a dime a dozen. They're a dime a dozen. Right? We have miracles every single day. I watch them like this every single day. Right? If you think that because it requires a miracle, you're not going to see one, be the miracle. I promise. All you have to do is start. Right? Yes. How about nicotine? Is withdrawal off that stuff brutal? It's hard because, so here's the deal on nicotine. Nicotine doesn't get you high for very long, right? Yeah, no, you cannot go cold turkey, Rosie. 8 years and nightcaps. No, you got to talk to your doctor. You can't cold turkey, right? That goes for everybody else. I don't care if you've been drinking a year or 8 years, you have to talk to a doctor before you quit. Hear me? Same with benzos. You're not quitting either of those cold turkey. You just can't. Sorry. But you can't. So plain and simple, you just can't. So cigarettes don't get you high for very long. It is a very short acting buzz, right? And what they say is that it's going to bring your level of dopamine, you're going to multiply it, right? So it's dopamine times 2. So the reason that this is such a hard drug to quit. Oh, Shelly Kelly. I love Shelly. Shelly, I'm sorry. This has been a hell of a day, folks. Shelly, I can't think of a better name. Lost her husband today as well. So this has been it's been a really tough day here on a boat, people. I'm sorry for your loss and for your pain, and give your husband my best as well. He's a very nice man. I've been blessed to meet both Shelly Kelly and her husband. Shelly Kelly, you will be happy to know that the placards you made us today were on tables in here in Kansas City. We were thinking of you. Someone said, "Oh, what a great idea." We said, "Yeah, Shelly Kelly made that." Valerie 102, good to see you. Rip, I'm glad you're here. Rip Curl Readiness. I am really, really glad that you're here. I will absolutely say on the record that fur babies are family. It's absolutely horrific to lose them. It's very, very hard. And yeah, around here we get that. This is definitely we're definitely a animal loving. We get it. So it's really sorry for your loss. It's awful. Uh, there's no faster delivery system than smoking. I know that people are going to argue with me on this one. I'll get a couple of emails that are going to say, "Oh no, if you stick it in the vein, you're wrong." The fastest delivery system, and I mean, we may be talking about splitting hairs because you're getting really quick, but the fastest delivery system into your body is your lungs, and that is the reason that, in my opinion, that cigarette smoking is so hard to quit because it's instant, right? You take that first drag in, the dopamine levels do their thing, and it's that relaxation, it's that instant relaxation, and then it becomes part of a routine. And I think that's really where we run into problems is right after you eat, right after sex, first thing in the morning, or you can't go to the bathroom, right? All of those things. Krista Melinda says, smoked for 10 years, quit in October 2023. Literally had been moved to a new apartment. Make new friends when I quit. Still crave it sometimes. Yeah, it's pretty serious stuff. It is pretty serious stuff. The meaning of the number 3 on my hat. Okay, so there were options, and I chose the number 3. I only had 3 options. It was going to be a 3, a 4, or a 5. I chose the 3. And the reason I did is because, as I've said many times here before I picked what it is I believe in, I read every single religious book that you could get your hands on. And that's usually pretty easy to do because in prison, they will get you anything. They're afraid to get sued. So if you want something that has anything to do with religion, they're getting you the book. And it always keeps coming back to the number 3, right? In Christianity, there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? If in Buddhists believe in the Amitabha Buddha, right? The regular Buddha, or I can't think of, and then the Bodhisattva Buddha. But the number 3 keeps coming back in all of these things again and again and again. And I don't know. There's some I have some affinity to the number. I think it's always been one that if given the option, I will usually put a number 3 on something. Yeah, I dig the number. After someone is completely off federal paper, do any travel restrictions remain? Not normally, CAG. Not normally. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. And those exceptions depend on what you did for your crime, right? Depending on what your crime is, sometimes your travel will be restricted where you're going to have to file before you do anything. That's can be a reality for some people. Nicholas says, I stopped smoking, but I vape and I hate it. Well, I would encourage you to drop it. Right? If you hate it, I would absolutely encourage anyone who hates the substance they're doing to drop them. I think it's a great idea. Now, it's hard. I vape. And here's the thing. I don't think I could take a bowel movement without it. I mean, for real. It's probably what I use it for the most now, right? For real. First thing in the morning, if I don't have that, I really struggle with all of this anyway. I've got some issues that way. Shelly Kelly, member for 6 months. You are also kind. Thank you. You know what? Our everybody here has been there. Everybody here has been there. That's nothing worse. You vape, but it's pot. Yep. I probably would recommend that over burning flour, personally. But Mara Mello says, yes, 3s are always my choice. Me too. You know what, Jeremy Shelton? I think you might have done that. Jeremy Shelton finally admits that he was selling bootleg Caddyshack 2 VHS tapes in the late 80s. This would explain why he left the country, right? It was the shame. It was the shame. Debbie, Quibble's been giving me a lot of magnesium. She's got me on a whole different deal right now. So edibles are better than my thing is this. If you can avoid breathing anything into your lungs, do it. Right. If you can't, then harm reduction is better. Right.
I think you're better off not lighting something on fire and then breathing it into your lungs. Uh, have I taken Ibegard? Ibegard. I don't know what that is. Tamber June. Ibegard? Do you mean Ibogaine? Maybe? I've done Ibogaine from the iboga plant. It's you trip your nuts off, really. It's like it feels it's a dissociative drug, so it feels a lot like LSD or mushrooms or that kind of a thing. I mean, closest to that kind of a thing. But when you're done tripping, you don't have withdrawals. You don't have. It's a very, very interesting substance, and they're doing a lot with it in other countries. We don't do it here. Sadly, there's not a lot of stuff being done with it in the U.S. It's an OTC IBS med. I'll tell you this. I don't know what it is, but I do know that in federal prison, there was an IBS drug that they used to call Smurfs, right? They were blue and they're very small. And you're supposed to take one twice a day. These guys would take like 25 of them. And when you took 25 of them, people would hallucinate, did some really crazy stuff. Mara says, I tried vaping myself to quit cigs, but it hits my lungs like a fist. Hurts actually, like breathing in high humidity. I found the exact same thing, but only if it had the ice quality to it. So like the mentholated stuff did that to me, but the non-mentholated stuff does not. Sure, Jamie Palmer, you can ask me an opinion on anything. I'm usually pretty open that way, right? I am usually pretty open about that. Yeah, smoking after 30 years has lasting effects. Absolutely, it does. Right? You're gonna so when I stopped cigarettes and I began vaping, taste buds were huge. Like I got my taste buds back. That was really odd. I also breathe completely different. You know, I can work out and vape. I could not work out and smoke cigarettes. I just couldn't. Ellie J, you're a sweetheart. I'm sorry for the pain and all the grieving and struggling. Sending ones love and healing. It's 4:15 here. Wow, it's getting late. So I got to try to sleep. I'm visiting my mom, but I'm going to try some big life changes when I leave. Well, you know where to meet us, right? Come back here and don't suffer in silence, right? Come back and tell us. Wow. Kristen Melinda says, in college, I would go to the gym, work out, and then smoke a cigarette on the bench outside the gym. Wow. Honestly, but when you're a kid, okay, so when I competed, I would smoke a cigarette on the chairlift on the way up all the time. Our coach used to say, if you get caught smoking a cigarette, if there's a picture of one of you asses with a cigarette in your mouth, and then a lot of guys switched to chewing tobacco because you could do it and not be spotted. But nicotine was really big among the skiers, sadly. But Anita Card says, I'm a closet vapor. Been doing it for a year and a half. Hubby still doesn't know. I hate it. You know what? I get it. The reason, Ellie J, as my friend would say, throwing them out like hot sauce packets. You know what? Real quick here. We're going to take a second. Let me see if I missed my friend's question here. Did we? No, he must be typing it. Jamie Palmer. Yeah, give me that question. Let's hit this one real quick, right? While we're waiting on my boy's question here. I want to thank everybody for the support on the boat. For real, it's astounding the number of people that we've been able to help. I was having a very long conversation today with some people. Lisa, wearing these glasses for you, and it's kind of amazing, and I get so much good press because we bought people into medical assisted treatment, and we bought a lot of people into medical assisted treatment. But I didn't do that. Right? That wasn't me. I met the people. I helped them over to the doctor's office, and we paid the fee. But we paid it with your money, straight up. The very first year of the Lifeboat, I put a few on my credit card, to be sure. I put a few on there, right? More than I would have liked to, because There were people ready to quit and there wasn't any money, right? And the idea of somebody continuing to do dope because they couldn't get enough cash to get on Suboxone is not something I can take. Honest to God, it's not. But it's been pretty amazing, the generosity of all of the people that have been donating to the boat for a long time. But it's really unbelievable, and I love you guys. I do. It's but it's important to me that when you guys are saying, oh, what you do is so great. I'm doing it with your money. I don't think you guys should maybe not lose sight of the fact that you're making this happen, right? Like LEJ, right, and all of the people that support the boat. Nick Lamax says, I didn't start smoking until I was 28. How stupid was I? Hey, you know what? That won't fly here. I'll tell you why. Because you're an addict. You want dumber? I got out of prison. I wasn't a smoker, right? I couldn't smoke in prison. There were no cigarettes in there. I mean, there are, but they're $25 for a cigarette, so I certainly wasn't smoking in there. I got out, and on the drive to the airport, I bought a pack of cigarettes. Stupid as that. But you know what it is? It's just, they said, you can't do this. 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 As soon as you get out, first thing you think is, F you, I'm doing this. Stupid, right? As stupid as it gets. But we do that, Fortunately, I at least am doing the harm reduction thing. Carousel Delirium. Holy hell. Look at you. Good to see you. Jamie Palmer, did you put it up? Took a while to type. Why am I not seeing it? Jamie Palmer. Did I miss it? I'm not very bright. Sorry, and I'm jumping this thing all over the place. Yeah, I missed it. I'm not seeing it, Jamie Palmer. But if you yeah. Hey, Renee Rainbow, good to see you. Yeah, peer support. It's absolutely what group therapy ought to be sure. And I'll tell you something. There have also been, during the course of the time that we've been doing this, absolutely there's room for Nick R on the boat. Absolutely. Come on. It's hold on one second. Yeah, I've had several people since the boat opened who have come in and done stuff that is staggering. Staggering. They don't want their names out. But I will tell you this: there was a person over one of the summers that we had the boat. I was going and talking to people at. It's almost like a last chance for kids before they end up in real jail. Most of these kids were over the age of 18, but under the age of about 25. Both male and female, except the houses were separated, so they were not in the same building, but they had one for each. And almost every single one of them was an opiate addict. And I was going in and talking and doing some speeches in this place, talking to kids about what prison's like, right? Trying to let them know that it ain't cool. The movies that you see, and this is going to get you street cred, and you're going to all the stupid crap that people say. But what I found was, when I talked, these guys say, I can't quit. It's not possible, this and that. And when I brought up Suboxone, the vast majority of them had never tried it. And what they had heard about it was BS, utter BS. They hadn't heard anything true. So when I told all these people, these kids were ready to go. Try again, Jamie Palmer. I didn't see it. I'll go back. If I got a, man, oh man, I do not see it. You just reposted. Let me see. Am I just, yeah, I am not seeing this. Is anyone else seeing it? I see Debbie. Sorry, took a while to type. And then the next time I see your name, brother, it says just reposted. So I'm not seeing it. I'd love to answer it, but I am not seeing it. Hypnosis. There are people that swear by it. I don't know the answer to that. I don't. I think a lot of times but a lot of times what it comes down to is if the student is ready, then the teacher appears. So if a person is ready to quit smoking and you make them believe that hypnosis is going to be what helps them do that, it'll help them do that. If you convince them that not changing their socks right, is what's keeping them from using, it'll have that effect. It's amazing what the placebo effect does. Absolutely amazing. There are, when they do double blinds, very often the placebos do just as well, because the power of the mind, if you believe the pill they're giving you is doing something, there's a good chance it's gonna. So when I was going and talking to these kids, there was somebody that reached out to me, and I said, these kids had not even heard of it, and the person said, uh, could we get them all on Suboxone if we paid for it? And I said, I don't know what the legalities are. I don't know if these kids are allowed to do it, because some probations are not, and they were allowed. And when I told this crew member of the Lifeboat that, they sent $15,000 on PayPal and said, get as many on as you can. How's that? So we've had some angels, literally, we've had, and we call them angels, right? There is room for one more man bun on the boat. It is Jeremy Shones. Sorry, had to do it. Yeah, I didn't see it. I don't think anybody saw it. Right? Hey, Mo Love, how are you? Janet G, like hot sauce packets. Thank you, people. Thank you. Janet G, you're a rock star. You are a rock star. I see you there, Jamie Palmer, but I'm not seeing the question. Miss Sunrise Dawn says, Tommy, I'm going to have to start going into a closed room when I watch you. Started watching you, and now I am being smothered by several cats and the dog. I do seem to be certainly a cat whisperer. Lori says, I paid $3,000 for hypnosis. It did nothing. That's heartbreaking. Good God, $3,000. Wow. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But yeah, Justine went through them too. I'm not seeing them. I don't know what happened. But if you genuinely want to quit, I've always loved the phrase or the cliche, when the student's ready, right? The teacher appears, because it doesn't matter who the teacher is, right? When the kid's ready to learn, then the next person they see, they're going to learn everything they can off. It's just kind of how it works. Gag says, hypnosis works like magic. 1 year later, almost to the day, I woke up craving a cigarette. It wore off just as magically. Holy crap, that's weird. Holy crap, that's weird. But I will tell you this. I spoke to you a few moments back about Ibogaine, right? I did Ibogaine. That was one of my Hail Marys. I was going to find a pill that was going to make it so that I didn't want to do opiates ever again. That was the sales pitch. So I tripped my nards off on the stuff, and I felt like I walked out the door like all my friends, because we went together, and we walked out going, holy crap, but we're not sick. I don't need anything. One of them, as soon as we got in the car, one said, let's smoke a joint. So, we did, which I hadn't done in a long time, but I did not have the desire to use at all. I didn't have a craving. I didn't have a thought about it. It was everything they said it was going to be for 90 days. For 90 days, that crap was a miracle. But on day 91, right, 3 months after I took it, I had it. It wasn't even like a craving. It was well, I'm going to go get this. And if I have to kill everybody between me and the dope dealer, I'm going to do that. It was just the most unbelievable. I have to do this kind of a thing. It really was awful. Hold on one second. Silver Psychic says, that is so beautiful. What an amazing human being, getting those kids the help they need. Yeah, I got a question. I'm just asking for a friend, right? Um, if I took that 15,000 that I was sent, and I went into a casino with it, right? Straight up, if I took that 15K and I went into a casino with it and tried to make it into more money so that I could help more people, would that make me a lowlife? I'm dead serious. I'm asking this. And obviously, if you went in there and lost it, it would certainly make you a dirtbag. But if you went in there, let's say you went in and you counted cards with a couple of friends and you just used the 15,000 as stake money and you were just counting cards, right? Which is a system where you're not actually counting cards. You're giving each card a value, right? And whether it's a +1 or a -1, you give it a value. And when the number hits a certain number, you can just start increasing your bets to unbelievable amounts because the odds are now 56 to 57% in your favor, right? They built the Bellagio on a half a percentage point, 49, right? And a half percent. So if you can get to 56, you're going to make a fortune. So if somebody were to do that, if somebody were to go in and use that money to double it, would that person be a dirtbag? Not a low life, an idiot maybe. That's probably it's borderline continuing an addiction. Leslie, that's a good comment. Mara says depends. Do you feel lucky? An idiot, says General Boa. Not a reasonable risk. Breach of duty. Okay. Too risky, and nobody donated it to risk gambling. Now, that's a really good point. If a person were to do that, you'd have to call that person and say, this is my intent, right? I'm going to walk in here with your money. I got two friends. Now, I will say this, people. Counting cards isn't gambling. You cannot lose counting cards unless you really are bad at what you do. But you also can't do it for a living because you're going to get thrown out the very first time. Honest to God, nobody gets away with it. The people upstairs, they're counting cards. That's what they're doing. The people, the eyes in the skies, they're counting cards, just like the card counters are. So when they're looking at the table and the number hits, they're looking to see who starts betting. And if somebody starts betting unreasonable amounts of money at that point, they're part of a card counting deal. Not against the law, right? They will escort you out. You can keep your money, but they will never let you play there again. It's happened to me. I probably wouldn't have been able to do it if I wanted to because I had been blackballed. I can't. But here's why I said this. I said this because the person actually recommended that. The person had heard card counting stories in the past and said, couldn't you just take the money into a casino? And I said, probably not if I'm a good person. Probably not if I'm a good person. But it did come up. Jamie Palmer says, should I get a bat or something to protect my dogs from the neighbor's dog since one bit me last month? Get pepper spray. Don't get a bat, right? You don't want to hit a dog with a bat. As nasty as pepper spray is, right? It's and I've been pepper sprayed. I cannot begin to tell you the number of times I've been pepper sprayed in my life, right? Directly. On pepper spray that just got into the room and I had to breathe it. I did it every day for months, right? Just in one prison, I did it every day for months. It was awful, but it's not going to kill the animal. You hit the animal with a bat. If the neighbor's dog bit me, number one, I'd call the cops, right? I would. That's who I am these days. I'm a square. But I always, when I walked my golden retriever and my Chiweenie, I always had pepper spray with me, always. And it was not for people; it was for dogs. We would be walking, and the guy would have a pit bull that was not on a leash. You know what I mean? And that just to scare the hell out of me. But pepper spray is very, very effective. But a bat is, what you're getting into some. You're getting into some weird areas, and I'll tell you why. If you hit a dog with a bat, depending on who owns that dog, I mean, it's like hitting their kid with a bat. You know what I mean? You'd probably be a lot safer with pepper spray. The nice thing about pepper spray is you're also 10 to 15 feet away from the dog, right? So it's a whole lot. If the dog's charging you, you do not have to wait until the dog is biting you in order to do something about it. With a baseball bat, right? You know how close you are to that animal? Yeah, I wouldn't want to be that. Honestly, they're incredibly. If a dog is attacking you, dogs are really good at what they do. Right? That's why cops use them. But pepper spray, I've yet to meet an animal that pepper spray did not discourage the crap out of, including Johnny Scoville. right? Kim Roy says no and no. I would not have been able to. I just found it a fascinating. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. On the bright side, um, we ended up helping both houses because instead of going into a casino and trying to double the money, I talked about it, and somebody came up and said, "I'd like to cover that other house." So yes, there is bear spray, but bear spray is just a another form of capsaicin. I said no, says Mara. Vinegar, citrus, coffee, mint, and mustard, according to Workaholic Panda, are all scents that dogs hate. I know that citrus, cats hate the smell of citrus. I know that. Cooking with grandma. I'm sorry to hear that you're having a rough night. You know what? It seems to be going around. It really seems to be going around. Bad ownership. Yeah, and you never want to do a dog dirty because their owner sucks, right? And sadly, that's kind of the case. But on the flip side of that, I don't want to be bit. Right? I would. It's put you in a bad position. Bear spray is a larger can with a. This is 99% correct. Janet G says bear spray is just like a bigger can with a stronger, farther reaching stream of pepper. And they have added something that causes it to stick to you in a different way. They call it inside, they call that 602, right? Because it says 602 on the side of the can. But they use those in prison for cell extractions. They don't use them for fights because it clouds an entire room and they don't want to do that. But if they're coming in to take you out of a cell, they come in with the 602. And when they spray you, it sticks to you like napalm, right? You're not getting it off. It's bear spray's ugly stuff. It's really, really hard to get off of you. And it's, that stuff sucks if you can't get it off. Right? Full moon sucks this month. Shannon Smith's right. I do agree that the owners are at fault. I do not blame the dogs at all, and that's why I've been on the fence about it. And you know what? You're a good man, Jamie Palmer. You really are. You're a good man. Did you ever talk to the owners? Because if it had been my dog and somebody told me that my dog bit somebody, I swear to you, I would be really friggin' upset. You know what I mean? I would do everything within my power to make sure that my dog lived in my backyard for the rest of eternity. I wouldn't want to put him down, but that's, I would definitely want the neighbor to know that, hey man, your dog bit me. Maybe they're a stand-up group of people, and they'll make sure that the dog isn't going to get anywhere near you again. It's really bad that he bit you on your land too. Brazy, you're a very, very kind person. You really are, and I'm pulling for you. It's a nice thing to say. Animal control did come out. The owner's got a ticket. Oh, okay. Any more incidences and the dog might get taken away. And sadly, and you know what? Debbie says, don't leave your dog outside. Now that you know there's a risk of a dog fight. Yeah, it's what sucks is, if you have to keep your animal inside because the neighbors, have a dangerous animal. It's kind of rough on dogs. But the owners got pissed off that I called my dad, who called the cops and the animal control. It was like you were at fault. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't sound like your neighbor's burdened by deep thought, right? So there's the 95% we were talking about earlier, Jamie Palmer. You got a dumb neighbor, right? We know that now, and there's nothing you can do. You're not going to turn this person into a not dumb neighbor. But the 5% that you can deal with, since this animal got into my property, right, and bit me, yeah, I'm going to protect my property, and I'm not going to get bit. And I'm an animal lover, but I'm not getting bit. They leave horrific scars. Bad things happen, right? Bad things happen. I think you did the right thing, Jamie. Awakened by the Looking Glass says, I have 2 big old pits that sleep in bed with us every night. They look massive, but the worst thing about them is their drippy kisses and sleep like contortionists. I know people that have the sweetest pit bulls. I don't think I don't think pit bulls have ever been a problem. I think that the owners of pit bulls have been a problem. That's what I mean, honestly, if they had picked, Rottweilers, then we'd be talking about Rottweilers that way. It's just kind of sad, but I love pits. They really can be very, very sweet animals. And I don't know, maybe, there's a show called Convicts and Pit Bulls or something like that. Parolees and Pit Bulls, I think is what they call it. And there is kind of something, you know what I mean? Like a dog that fights and bites does, when they go up and down those kennels full of dogs, it looks a lot like prison to me. It really does. And there's a lot of guys inside that are not much different than that. You know what I mean? They're not bad people. They just didn't get the people that raised them sucked. And a lot of times they turn people mean the same way they turn dogs mean, you know? And I think it's harder to fix a human than a dog, sadly. Justine says, I got to get going. God bless my fellow crew members. God bless you too, Tommy. Thank you, Justine. You know what? I am a good friend to her. She's I am. I'm a friend you'd like to have. That's no joke. I think I take it differently than a lot of people do. Hey, Lord Kiss Freak, good to see you. Glad you're here, man. Yeah, it sounds like a bad owner, man. Yeah, dog fights can infect really bad. Kim Roy is right. Kim Roy is right. More people get bit by small dogs than pits. My understanding is that the year that I looked this up, Jack Russell Terriers were in the lead. I don't remember what year it was, but I did look that up once on the internet, and they said, yeah, Pit Bulls and Parolees. That's the name of the show. And they said that Jack Russell Terriers are they bite more people, and another one is collies, right? Isn't Lassie a collie? Apparently, they bite a lot of people too. Kim Roy says, I'd be mortified if my dog bit my neighbor. Me too. Me too. Pits are called the nanny dogs. Well, I'll be damned. Nat B says, I have a pit, biggest baby. I love it. I love it. Shannon Smith says, I love pit bulls and parolees. I thought it was a really cool concept for a show. Unfortunately, it was a TV show. So, but the fellas talked about it all the time. Inside, they did not miss that show. It was on every single time they could put it on. But by that point, I had given up television. Jamie Palmer says the neighbors also have a giant mastiff-sized dog who has lunged at people walking down the street. If that dog hadn't been on a leash, holy crap! Yeah, they're big animals. The biggest dog I ever knew was a tiny dog. Yeah, how people are managed, I think, is an issue. That's always, in my opinion, the issue, right? These animals, by their nature, that's not what we're working with. They have to be, people manipulate them to make that happen. Sick individuals, right? Yeah, Yeah, Cricket says there are no bad dogs. There are bad people who train their dogs to be mean, and they tend to abuse the dogs to get them that way. There's no question. There's no question. Brazy, absolutely. Good night, and please keep us in the loop. Right, this is important stuff, right? And thank your husband for us. Guy's a saint. He really is. So tell him we said we love him. You know what? I think the only dog I was ever bit by was a what are those? Can't remember the name of them. They have very thin faces. They're black and brown. Doberman. It was a Doberman. Yeah, the only dog I ever got bit by was a Doberman, and I was wearing ski gloves. Right, I was actually sliding, and I think the dog just got really excited because I was going down the hill on an inner tube. But the dog ran up alongside of us and got me on the hand, and I was really lucky where he bit me. He got me on the right hand, so that like the top of his head was on the top of my hand, and he bit down enough to break the skin, but they were really thick gloves. And because I was going down a hill, like I panicked. The dog bit my hand. It freaked me out. And I'm not a small dude and I got really big hands, but I kind of flipped the dog, not intending to, because I wasn't holding on to him. He was holding on to me. But he let go when he kind of tumbled. And when we got to the bottom of the hill, his owner was on him in seconds, and the dog, I mean, obeyed him. There was nothing, no further action at all, at all. And he came up and apologized. He said, "I'm sorry, but if you go sliding by an animal, right?" I didn't feel like the dog was really doing much wrong. I think that's often, I think it's stuff that we just get them riled up by accident. Whine a little bit more says, "My pup is fiercely loyal. All she wants is her human." She has a hell of a voice, and she licks everyone to death. I love it. I love it. Kimura has a Great Pyrenees, sweetest dog until the sun sets. Then beware of anyone trying to sneak up on me. Well, that sounds like a damn good dog or a damn good boyfriend. Either way, that sounds good. So many lost their dog in Montreal because of that bias law. Oh, I didn't know about this, Nat B. I'm sorry to hear that. I used to spend a lot of time in Montreal as a kid. When I was young, I used to go there all the time because we could drink, and act like fools. The drinking age was 18 instead of 21. So we used to go up there all the time. I spent a lot of time in Montreal. Jamie Palmer says, "Thank you. Now I'm more concerned with protecting my dogs." You know what? I think you got a pretty solid head on your shoulders, right? Sound like a dude with a big heart. I think you'll do great. I don't think that anything will come of that. My mom always said a tired dog is a good dog. Sometimes they just need exercise. Cats are the same way, and people don't get that, right? You have to exercise your cat. If you don't, I promise you, it's bad for them, right? Mentally, you got to let your cat act like a cat, chase things, attack things, pounce on things. Plus, great nude bars, says General Boa. Club Super Sex, I think might have been the name of it. Club Super Sex. It's like Neighbors with New England, right? It is absolutely Neighbors with New England. It's just on the northern border. Oh, Jamie, I'm sorry. Here's the thing, though. I had to get it wrong, Jamie. I've never gotten it right. Right? If I got this one correct, I'd have been breaking a really, really long tradition on the Lifeboat of misgendering every single person who addresses me. I mean, I'm batting 1,000. So Chez Paris. That's another one. Absolutely. There is the Chez Paris was there when I used to go. Yeah, Jamie, I think I'm going to stick with, and I'm not a Scientologist. Well, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. A never in, huh? I too am a never in. Do you know how often people get shocked when I say that? I'm sure one of you right now is going to go, "What? I thought you were a Scientologist." I am not a Scientologist. I'm a never in. I was a thief. And as it turns out, they're big into stealing. So I worked with a lot of them. Honestly, I was a con man and a hustler, and they are con men and hustlers. They make a lot of money that way. A lot of Scientologists are into network marketing, MLM, business opportunity, infomercials, public speaking, anything where you walk out on stage and take money from people that probably shouldn't give it to you. Right? Luckily, I have never misgendered anyone who ever dressed me. Well done. Jeremy Shelton, well done. I think you did well. Never in, but all into ending Scientology. Noble Savage, I dig that. I dig that. How do you exercise a cat? Oh, this is very easy. Let your dog out? Well, I guess that could do it. I go with I got the little feather on the end of the stick and stuff like that. Squirrel digs it. For clarification, you are a female. Yes, I gathered. Thank you, Jamie Smith. And are you an American? Because I screw that up 100 out of 100 times too. General Boa. Yeah, I when I say I spent a lot of time up there, I spent a lot of time up there. I really did. It was a fun place to go. And we were really big into, this was freshman year in college, right? So we were super big into concerts, going to see concerts. And the Big O, right? Montreal Stadium, where the Olympic Stadium in Montreal is a great place. for concerts, and I saw everybody there. Lasers for cats. Yep, lasers are good too. Dead tired, but dreading going to sleep. I cannot blame you. Can't think of a better name. Well, we'll hang here a little longer for you. You're in Denver, Colorado. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to go to Colorado. Turns out we got a lot of people in Colorado. Quibble and I were talking about going there. Excellent. Well, Jamie, I will endeavor to never offend. I really try not to offend anyone if I can avoid it. Honestly, I've gotten to I didn't used to be that guy, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what? I mean, even if I don't like people, it's maybe just avoid them. It's I think the problem is that we're as a planet, we're not particularly kind. I think we're making strides. I'm not joking. I think we're making strides. I think that we've been so crappy to one another for so long that there's a movement, honestly, of people talking about things like connection and talking about things like kindness. And this is not as unique as it used to be, right? There are a lot of people who are putting up positive content that is designed to bring people to the comment section to support one another. That is happening with a lot of channels, and that's a good thing, right? That's a really good thing, and it doesn't matter why the hell, right? Doesn't matter why. It's always a good thing, right? Connection is Shannon Smith. Okay, I can call you he. You wouldn't care. It's very kind. You know, I'm not a good YouTuber. I should be saying on every single show, you know what? Please hit the subscribe button. 31% of you who listen to my voice refuse to hit the subscribe button. You come back and you watch every show, but you will not hit the subscribe button. I don't get it. I really don't. It's maybe hitting subscribe on the Lifeboat is admitting you got a drug problem. Honestly, that might be it. Forward looking says, hey, back after a long day. Seems I might have to watch this one on the replay too. Darn, yeah, that happens. Yeah, that late for dinner thing. I think W.C. Fields was pretty fond of that joke. I don't know if he wrote it, but he used to say that one. You can call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. My channel never sends out notifications. Well, that could be the truth, right? But when you do hit the bell for notification, you got to hit all, right? You got to hit all. But more often than not, you're not going to get a bell for notification. However, I'm going to be here at 7:30. You know where you can find me at 7:30, right? A couple hours before that, right? The boat goes off. Spanx Calhoun does a 5 o'clock show. He also does a morning show. So, curious about my opinion on cannabis infused water. There's a brand called Delta. Well, that would make sense, right? Delta 9. Thoughts better than smoking? Yeah, I would say it's better than smoking. My experience to date has been that if you're going to take anything in, then don't breathe it in if you can. I am the very first YouTuber that you ever watched. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard, Mara. What are the odds of that? Wow. Wow, that's really cool. That really is. That's super cool. That means the world to me. That's amazing. Hold on one second. Mo Love. Thank you. That's such a cool thing to say. And it is this community is pretty damned impressive. But I thank you, Mo. That's such a kind thing to say, and I'm really working at it. I honestly am, and I think I'm getting better. Yeah, I can give you an update on my life story. It's just kind of incredible as I get phone calls and hey, details on this. I didn't remember this, or I didn't remember. I get at the end of the day, everything that has been written gets sent to me. So I would look at it and go through it, and it's heavy. It's heavy, man. I would say that it's going to blow a lot of people's minds. We were pretty ugly, and this book isn't leaving a lot out. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly are in this book. Trisha Holland says, "Hi, Tommy, and everybody from beautiful Queensland. Got to catch you live. Love this crew in this boat. Trisha, we love you. Glad that you're here." Casey says, "Have you got an update on Q?" I do. And I know that Spanky probably told everybody on the 5 because I called him right before then. But I spoke to Q today on the telephone. He let me hear his voice, which was a big deal. And it's not perfect. I had thought that he might be holding out until he basically had his everything back to where it was. That was not the case at all. He's still struggling to speak. His he speaks very slowly, and you can tell that he is taking an effort to make certain sounds. You can tell he's really struggling to make. But he was in really good spirits, and he said that he had waited to now because if I had listened to him before today, I would not have understood what he was saying. I did not have any issue at all understanding anything he was saying. I didn't. I don't know, right? Maybe yesterday, I don't know how yesterday would have been different, but he felt now that, and you could definitely understand him, but you would also know that something's wrong. He does not speak like somebody who's not had a stroke, right? He speaks like he had a stroke, but he's moving along. His body is perfect. He doesn't have any deficits at all. He's working out. He's doing everything, and they figured out what caused this, and they've got him on some medications now. Oddly enough, he has exactly what I have. He has atrial flutter, and I've had 2 strokes. It does this. So the good news is that they can regulate this. This is not a difficult thing to regulate with drugs to ensure that it doesn't happen. So, but it was great to talk to him. They're still giving him 30 minutes, which is, I guess it pays off to never get a write-up, right? Because they are allowing him to talk for 30 minutes. It was an ischemic stroke. It was not a TIA. It was but it was an ischemic stroke, right? The transient ischemic attacks tend to be a little bit smaller, is my understanding. This was full-blown blockage, and it's left, deficits because of it, but there was no bleed, thank God. Yeah, the Will Smith. Will Smith's got a pretty. He's definitely not. I didn't. Not neither of them were bleeders. Silver Psychic. I was. I did not bleed either time. I had ischemic strokes. The first one, I was married to my ex-wife. The second, the lawyer ex-wife, and we were watching television. I was not doing drugs. I had not relapsed. I had not screwed up. I was doing everything right. And we were watching television, and my cat, who was named Fiona at the time, walked into the room, and I called the cat by the wrong name. And my wife said, what did you just call her? And apparently when I looked to her to answer her, the one side of my face had gone, like it was sloughing and doing all of that. And I can talk bad about this girl because of things that have happened to us. However, she was not a big woman, and she got me into a car, to the hospital, out of the car, and into the emergency room, and I wasn't able to walk. So I don't really know what she did because I was not there for it mentally. But about the time I came back online, I was in the emergency room, and doctors they were trying to get permission to give me TIA. I mean, to give me TP, whatever it's called, the clot buster drug. I can't think of the name of it right now. TPA. I think it's TPA. But you got to sign off on that, because if you are bleeding and they can't tell if they're treating you, right? If you're bleeding, you're done. They give you that stuff, the blood gets so thin, you're going to die on the table. So and it was weird because they gave me the shot, and I'm not kidding you. Within 2 minutes, my speaking was normal. I mean, it brought me back so fast, right? Oh, she got me there really quickly. She got me there. No, they said to her for days, like every single person that talked to her for days, every doctor just said, you saved him for real. And by the way, right now, I'm the smallest I've ever been in my life, right? When I was with this girl, I was 265, right? I was big. I was really big. And yeah, she got me in. That was the first time I was given TPA. The second time I was given it, I had a stroke. I was incarcerated, and I was I was in a cell that had bunks. The only place I've ever been in the world where the bunks are not one over the top of the other. This place had them like this. So one guy sleeps on this wall and the other guy sleeps on this wall. Very, very odd. But I was sitting on one bunk and using the other because I was alone in the cell, and I was playing solitaire on it. Yeah, it is dumb. I couldn't make a decision. I really couldn't. I had no ability to make a decision, but they wanted me to. And I remember trying to communicate with my wife, and what I was wanting to, I couldn't get the words out. I wanted to hear the doctor say, "If this were me, I would do it." That's what I wanted to hear a doctor say. If this were me, I would do it. And I tried to communicate that without being able to speak. And finally, one guy walked up and he was like, "You need to make a decision." And I just kind of looked at him, and he went, "Hey, if it were me, I'd be doing this right now." And I was like, "Let's do it." Right. I didn't make sound stupid. I just wanted to hear a doctor say, "Yeah, if it were me, I'd be doing it." But nobody seemed to want to say that, which freaked me out. But so the second time I'm playing solitaire, and that's the last thing I remember. And oddly enough, I was going to win, because that never happens. But I was playing solitaire, and I must have fallen. Like, I must have gone cold and fallen, because I landed. When I came to, I was trying to get to the button on the door, or I was trying to get to the door because I had been crawling across the floor, and I was in a puddle of piss and blood because I hit my face when I went down. And when I had the stroke, I was a mess. And when they came in, I couldn't speak. I was a mess. I was a mess. But I could write a little bit, and nobody there was funny at all. I was cracking jokes. The EMT came in, and when they got me into the hospital, the doctor came in, and I had something to write on, because they get this little like squeaky board thing, and he came in and he said he was wanting to make sure that I was all right. And he said, "Are you comfortable?" And I wrote on the board, "I make a decent living," which I thought was pretty damn funny, but he didn't seem to get it. Yeah, Shannon Smith. It was pretty incredible, actually, that she was able to do that. Dead weight. I would imagine that. I said to her, how did that happen? What did that look like? And she just said, "I picked you up and took you to the car." I couldn't pick up a 260-pound dude if he was dead weight. I couldn't. I've tried. I've tried to pick up dudes when they were unconscious. Not an easy thing to do. But she got there. What's funny? The only thing that I got right, they asked me who the president was. I got every other question, apparently, that they asked me wrong, but I knew who the president was. Apparently, I wasn't very happy about it. Yeah. Yeah. Adrenaline, you're riding on adrenaline. And this is something that's very, very real. When we lose a loved one, it's our brain is an incredible device, and that adrenaline is mixes with a bunch of other. We get an entire cocktail, and the purpose of that cocktail is to get us to the next day, right? Because that first day we need to kind of float so that when we get the following day, we start with the whole process of acceptance and all of the other things that happen. Weird things happen in hospital. After operations, I came out of general asking the nurse if she worked here. That's a good one. I like that. I've I don't know what I did. I did something to upset a nurse once. Bad. And I was coming out of surgery, and she said I was hurting so bad. It was a throat surgery, and I was in so much pain. And my wife at that time was with me, and she was yelling at the woman, hey, he needs something. Look at him. And she came in and she said, "This is morphine. It's going to take away all the pain." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And she put it into the IV, and she pressed it down. And by the time her thumb had hit, I mean, this is my drug, right? So they gave me a lot of it, and the pain was gone. I was like, "Oh, thank God." And then she proceeded to pull out another syringe and go, "This is Dilaudid. It might make you sick." Because the mixing of the two, like I've done mountains of Dilaudid, I don't get sick. I've never vomited on any opiate except that combo. The combo of the two, I just went, "Eh," and it was throat surgery. I'm vomiting, dry heaving on that throat and calling this woman the B word through every single dry heave. I'm serious. Going, bitch. Like I was so angry. Like, what did you do? Why would you do this? So when the doctor came back in, I was yelling at the dude. I was like, "Hey, you want to tell me what the hell just happened with that nurse?" I said, "She told me it was going to make me sick and then put it in the," and he goes, "Yeah, you and her were not friends." I said, I don't know the woman. Apparently I said something to her because they were knocking me out. And you know what it is, don't you? For real. If anybody here's had surgery, you know what it is, right? The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to give you the same crap that the CIA gives you if they want to interrogate you, right? They're going to give you sodium pentothal or one of those because that is, and it starts to lower that. And you'll say what's on your mind, right? Maybe I didn't find her attractive and mention that. I don't know. Versed could have been it too, right? Um, milk of amnesia, they like to call that. I bet Versed is another one that, yeah, done plenty of that. I've been knocked out and brought back. I can't begin to tell you how many times. Yeah, Finnegan, take Finnegan to the hoop. um, Finnegan suppositories will stop you from vomiting. They're actually pretty incredible. Um, I am not a professional, people. I am a drug addict. Just please, you need to know that. Not a doctor. Don't play one. I'm just a junkie. Did a lot of drugs. Jamie Smith says, "I've had a good day. I pray for good days to come for everybody here. Good night." Jamie Smith, thank you so much. You are a sweetheart. That's a woman, Just in case you weren't paying attention, you just got here. My friend Jamie is a woman. General rule is never piss off the nurses. Good rule, right? Good rule. Don't make here's the juxtaposition, which is really kind of incredible. I started calling her Buell Helga. Um, that's how I referred to this nurse because she was not very nice to me. And I thought Buell Helga kind of sounded like a mean Russian shot putter kind of name. So that's what I started calling her. And then at midnight, the girl that would come on was just she was just lovely in every way. She was super attractive, super kind. And I'm not kidding you. I was laying in there hurting and I'm just like, my throat's dying. And I don't hit the button. I just wait. And she came walking in, and I'm not kidding you. She came up with a syringe and squirted liquid out of the top of it and said, "Want to get high?" Swear to God. I went, "Do I?" Yep. So the night nurse was fantastic, but the day nurse, not so much. Shannon Smith says, "I reported my evil nurse and had her banned from my room." I love that. I lost my feces the last time I was in a hospital. Completely lost my mind because they were being really bad to the old man next to me, and I went nuts. I'm telling you, I've never been that angry. I'm not joking. That was as pissed off as I've ever been. It was insane. It really was. Because the guy's like, "I'm not letting you leave here," and I went, "Really? up me, right? Like I was in the mood. I'm yanking stuff out of my arm. Oh, it was bad. But if you could have seen how they were treating this dude, who was a doctor, right? They were treating him like he was a low life piece of crap. And all, what he said was he had taken half of a pill and broken it in half, threw the other half in the trash. And the woman said, "You didn't take the medication?" As he said, "Nah." He goes, I can't take an entire one of those. It has an adverse. And she goes, "What do you think? You're a doctor?" And he didn't say, "Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm a doctor." I had been there long enough to know that he and his wife were both MDs, but he didn't say that. "Yeah, I'm a doctor," right? And throw it in her face or anything like that. He just said, "Ma'am, I just really know that this does not work, with me." You remember that, Mara? Yeah. Um, yeah, I am. Yep. I did not, I literally lost my mind. That was as unglued as I've come, people, and I come unglued, but that one was epic. That one was epic. I was really unhappy. And I will never go back there. That is a hospital that is the closest hospital to my house. I promise you. It's so close to my house. I can get there in about 6 minutes. However, I'll be heading downtown. You got to learn to love yourself. And it's not as difficult as you think. It is not. Here's the problem. The problem is we have listened to what society has told us forever, right? And society has never done a good job of telling us anything, literally anything that wasn't stupid. Even when they try to help us, you're perfect exactly how you are. No, you're not. Trust and believe you're not. You're not. Everybody needs to work on themselves. Everybody needs to be working on themselves always. Doc, good to see you. Zelda, I'm glad you're here. Absolutely. Everybody needs to be moving forward. Pee Wee Herman loved himself so much once it got him arrested. Jeremy Shelton's back. There's my boy. He's back. It's true. Pee Wee Herman did love himself, from what I understand, third time before they arrested him. I mean, if you're a cop, you got to watch somebody, three times. You couldn't arrest him on the first one. Yeah, you're just a pervert, right? You're just a perverted cop. That's what you are. Like you dig watching it. There's no other explanation. You're a weirdo. Sorry, but explain it to me. Kimberly Holly says, "Love yourself and patch the holes in your own love bucket so that people can pour into you." Kimberly, I love that. I absolutely love that. And Body Illusion says, "Jeremy Shelton, welcome back." Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. He's back. Just have to pay attention to what makes you unhappy over and over again and baby steps to pull out of it. You really have to. Thank you, Lisa. That's thank you, Lisa. I appreciate the hell out of that. I really do. No, it's there's a lot to be said for not listening to the things that society tells us. Being having a best friend these days who's a woman has been remarkably eye-opening. For real. It's been funny to listen to how many times Quibble says, not, and I don't mean when we're live, but just the two of us. Guys love that. Guys love this. She so far is for the entire time we've known each other. Seriously. She's never once said one that was correct. And unfortunately, people live their lives based on those false narratives and those false ideas of what this person or that group of people or this group of people wants. Again, forget that crap. Forget that crap and become comfortable with who you are, right? Become comfortable with who you are and love who you are. And you know something? When you do, you will find someone who will love you as much as you love yourself, right? Forgiving oneself is a challenge. To be sure, it is. Forgiving yourself is a challenge. Loving yourself again is a challenge, right? If the things that we did in our past are so foul that they're just not worthy of forgiveness, then give them away and raise your hand. If yours is worse than, say, hurting people for drugs or hurting people for money, right? Robbing banks. I've done a lot of foul crap, people, right? I'm telling you that if I can forgive that, you guys can forgive anything, right? And amazingly, you all have forgiven me for the things that I've done in my past, or you wouldn't be here. It means you're pretty forgiving people. If you can forgive me for the things that I've done in my past, and you can, or you wouldn't be here, why can you not forgive yourself for the things you've done in yours? They're not as foul. I promise you, they're not as foul. I was the perfect dude to start this channel because people weren't going to show up and go, "Well, I was a lot worse." No, you weren't. No, you weren't. I was off the rails. I was off the rails. I was robbing banks to pay for heroin to put in my arm. When they pulled that away from me and made it painfully obvious I was never going to be able to rob another bank, I became a gun runner. Right? I started buying and selling guns illegally as a way to make a living, which is right. But I wasn't in my right mind. Early on, in the very early days of the Lifeboat, there was a cat from London who was from Great Britain that was on the boat. And, he was talking one day about. Thank you, Nelly. He was talking about people doing things, right, that are just plain stupid, right? You're right. It is harder, but this is where you have to come from. People say to me, Tommy, how can you forgive yourself for the things that you've done, especially the things you've done? I mean, you burned your family, you did all of these things. How can you forgive yourself? And here's what it is. Have you met anybody in their right mind, right, that would rob a bank? How about would rob more than one or more than two or more than four, right? Nobody in their right mind does that. How about more than six? No one in their right mind does that. No one in their right mind buys and sells illegal guns. I mean, think about who you're selling to. Right? You're selling weapons to somebody. You got to figure there's a pretty good chance they already got some, right? It's a dangerous line of work, right? Nobody in their right mind does that. Nobody in their right mind sticks needles in their arms, right? At 9 o'clock in the morning as a way to just get out of bed. No one in their right mind does that. So if I'm not in my right mind, why would I beat the piss out of myself about it? I wasn't at the helm. I gave the wheel to heroin, right? The heroin was driving. Plain and simple. Heroin was at the wheel. And I'm not going to hold Tommy accountable for heroin. I'm not. I've come to grips with it, right? I definitely have come to grips with the things that I've done. And that's something everybody has to do. How do you do that, Tom? You write it down, right? Commit it to that journal. Write it down and say, I'm done with it. That's why I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down. Then I'm putting it away. It doesn't need to be in here. It doesn't need to be in here clogging up my crap every single day. I'll take it out of here. I'll put it onto an external hard drive and I'll stick that thing away somewhere. Right? Notebook gone, external hard drive filed. And now, instead of running around here, I've taken it and putting it down. And when I put it down on paper, when I wrote down the things that I did that I thought were foul, when I put them down on the paper, I came to grips with them. It wasn't, it takes a minute to write those down. And as you're doing it, you're going, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And then as you're doing it and starting to get that guilt, you go, whoa. No one in their right mind does that. Never quit quitting is, I think, what you're looking for. Never quit quitting. Banks, meh. MLMs, though. No, you know what? I deserve that shade. I designed pay plans for network marketing companies. Oh, if we want to match ugly, how about convincing people in foreign countries that because the United States changed their currency, the money that they had been saving all those years was no longer worth what it was printed on? So if you had an old $100 bill, I would trade it out for you for, say, 80 cents on the dollar. That's pretty sleazy. That's pretty sleazy. And I wasn't in my right mind. I promise you, looking back on it now, realizing that I was literally stealing from people whose life savings might have been $200, right? And I was going to take 40 of it. But that was pretty much who I was at that point in my life, right? Because I wasn't at the wheel. The dude at the wheel would do anything to get dope. The dude at the wheel needed to put between 6 and 7 grams of dope a day in his arm just to function, just to be able to get up and do what I did, right? Yeah, well, there's a lot of truth to that. Old coins definitely are worth a lot more money than paper right now, Mr. Dragon, to be sure. When we have humility, we don't feel humiliated. Wow, I love that, Mary Gonzalez. That's a very cool quote right there. A lot of truth to that. Yeah, it's a painful memory. I have I got a grip of them. I've gotten way better at I get through them because I've there's nothing you're never going to watch me you're very rarely going to watch me go through something here for the first time, right? I've gone through all of the crap of my life. I've laid out all of the things that I did that were just downright disgusting, right? That was a good one. I mean, that's a painful memory. I've done worse. I've done worse. You know, when I got, I mean, at rock bottom, there was nobody left to hustle. There was nobody left to steal from. Right? I was in prison. You can't con people. There's nothing left to do. Any skill I had, there was no way to make anything off of that. So then, what you end up doing is finding the dope man. And thank you, General Boa. Finding the guy that dealt and saying, "Look, who are the people that owe you the most money? Right? How about if I go and get money from them? How about if I go and collect? Would you give me a percentage of whatever I collect?" And that's what I did, you know. And that's just a crappy thing to do to get paid. It's a crappy thing to do to get paid. But I did, you know. And then you pick the week because that's easier, right? There'd be a list of people that owed him money. I promise you, I wasn't looking for the biggest guys on the list. I was looking for the smallest guys on the list. Because again, at that junction in my life, the soul was gone. I had left that thing. You talking about loan sharking? No, more than anything else, what I was doing was collecting. So a guy would be into the dope dealer for $250. Well, I would never collect for $250, but normally they were into him for thousands, you know, and he's not making payments, right? The dope dealer's not getting any money. This is in prison. So I would go into the guy selling and have words with him and encourage him to pay the dope dealer. And if he then went and made a payment to the dope dealer, then I got free dope. So what it basically entailed was going into a guy selling, beating the crap out of him, right? Until he decided to make a phone call and get money sent to the drug dealer. It's not a very not a lovely way to make a living, not a lovely way to keep the dope flowing. But I had to come up with dope every single day to feed my arms. You know, yeah. You know, that's basically where I was at. So it's not a pleasant thing. But once again, no one in their right mind does that. Right? No one in their right mind does it. But I wasn't in my right mind. By any stretch of the imagination, I was not in my right mind. I'm not going to hold myself, Tommy Scoville, the dude I am today. I'm not holding that dude accountable for the crap that I did when I had been doped for decades, right? 2.5, 3 decades I had been on dope. I'm sorry. I'm not, I was not in my right mind. I'm not going to hold myself accountable for that. I am going to give away. I'm going to give away the guilt from that, right? Give it away. Watching with love and support from Clearwater. Much love, Dusty Soda Fountain. Thank you. A lot of love for that area. How much was I using a day in prison? Honestly, probably half a gram a day. in prison. Um, that was about the best that I could. That was about the best that I could do. There was a period of time there where I basically could do as much as I want. It got kind of crazy. The guy who was my running partner, the guy that I did all of my dope with, was a huge Mexican cat, really big, yoked up Mexican dude I used to work out with, and I paid for most of it for real. Like I was new in there, I still had money on my books, and I used to get him high every day. And after a really, yeah, I was making a lot of money in prison. After everything went screwy, the yard lost the shot caller, and we got locked down for like 6 months. And when we came off lockdown, my best friend became the shot caller for the yard. And he got like all the dope that came in, he got 10% off the top of everything. He got 10% of everything that happened in that prison. So there was just dope. There was dope and money everywhere. And since I had taken good care of this dude, he was taking really good care of me. Fortunately, I got stabbed. Unfortunately, I should say, I got stabbed, and that stopped all that. Once I got stabbed, they had to move me off that yard. If you get stabbed, you're not. They can't keep you on the same yard. It's a policy. It doesn't put me in a dark place at all, Neely, and not at all. It does not put me in a dark place at all, and I'll tell you why. Because I am not holding myself responsible. I have taken responsibility. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna crucify myself for this. I'm not gonna beat myself up for this. The person that sits in front of you today is so far removed from that dude. It's like two human beings. It's like two completely different human beings, and I'm not jacked up about that. I'm not. There are things I that from my past that I struggle with. Everybody does, but no, for the most part, the drug stuff, all of that, the family stuff, that's hard. The hardest for me, the hardest is coming to grips with the fact that when you go away and you do the things that you do, there are kids that lose a dad, and that's a reality, and it's pretty nasty stuff. That's something you got to come to grips with. And my kids and I are super close. We have great relationships, but that doesn't it doesn't change the fact that that was the life that I handed my kids, and that I struggle with. But all you can do if you get to something, if there's a part of your life, part of your past that you can't get over, right? No other way to put it. There's a part of your life that you can't seem to forgive yourself for. Then what you have to do then is say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to live the rest of my life in such a way to be a tribute, right? To literally be the exact opposite of who I was. I want my actions, I want how I live to be a testament to the people that I burned the first time around. You feel me? It's hey, good luck on your interview tomorrow, and go in there and knock them dead. You're going to. I don't have a doubt. Go in there and knock them dead. To be sure. Oh, yeah, there's a good one right here. Goosebump says, I find it hardest to forgive myself for not living up to my potential. Yeah, that's real. And a lot of us, I think, have struggled with that. That's real. You're the daughter of a bank teller. Wow. That's crazy, Miss Sunrise Dawn. That's I was the kind of person that she was worried about robbing her mom's bank when going in and hitting her mom's bank. It's a wild world, isn't it? It really is. It's a wild world. You want to know something ironic? I'm the daughter of a bank teller. You're one of the people I worried about coming into mom's bank, and now you're part of my chosen family. Gotta love that. You really do, actually. And Kimberly Holly says a dark person that turns to light is like a friggin' Jedi. It's like changing the flow of the mighty Colorado River, and humans did that too. Thank you, Kimberly. That's a really cool way to put that. I really appreciate that. Hey, SB, I'm glad you're back. Right? I really am. I'm glad you're back. SB says, Tommy and crew, thank you for having this boat for us. I've been struggling a bit, but hope to get back here more often. Love to all and have a great night. Yeah, we hope to see you back here too. Right? True story. We hope to see you back here too. And thanks, guys. I really want this job. I have tons of experience. And I'm nervous. Got no reason to be. If you have tons of experience, let me tell you something, right? Yeah, Lisa, I knew you were a bank teller back in the day. And you know what, Lisa, I would have gone directly to you. I really would have. I promise you I would have. I never robbed a guy. I always robbed a woman. And you're a blonde. Yeah, I would have gone right to you. I guarantee you I would have. Sadly, that's the truth. Uh, so the in this market that we're in currently, when we all went running inside with the face diapers, right? We talk about this, and then we never came back out, right? Well, the workforce never came back out either. And currently, it's really hard to get decent employees. So if you have a lot of experience, you don't need to be nervous. You can walk in there, you own this. This is the time to be going to interviews in this country. You own this. Yeah, I'm just keeping it real. It is funny, but I definitely that's how I kind of pick them. Yeah, Cag says my new daughter-in-law did federal time for transportation of drugs across the border. Many years later, she's not the same person. Everyone can make a mistake. It's what happens next that counts. You know what? There's a lot of truth to that. Now, by way of full disclosure, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Liar Liar, but he says driven into the arms of another man, and she goes 7, and he goes, yeah, whatever. By way of full disclosure, I made mistakes every day for about 30 years. I was a career criminal. I really was. I didn't. I know a lot of people in prison that snapped. I know a lot of people in prison that screwed up, that were desperate, that did something dumb, but they made that one mistake. That wasn't me. I was uh, I was systematically a dirtbag, but I was certainly not in my right mind. Christy Hughes for my mods. You know what, Christy? I love you, and you are as as constant as the Northern Star, and I say that with the utmost respect. I really do. It's a beautiful thing, classy, and you know what? We got great mods, and they've had to be. Oh, they've had to be. Right? Oh, Christy, thoughts and prayers. Christy says I fell and hit my head, and I'm back from the hospital. Can we get some thoughts and prayers, please, for Christy? I am so sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. Uh, yeah, but like I was saying, by way of full disclosure, I was, you know what? I'm glad that you feel safe here, Christy. You are. Uh, yeah, by way of full disclosure, I was a career criminal. I was a dirtbag, but I absolutely revamped my entire life. I sat down and designed the person that I wanted to become, and then I did. Yes, thank God you have a hard head. Uh, and then I became that person. I did what I had to do to become that person, and I did it in every aspect of my life. I'm not bragging, but it's the truth. You guys remember? I don't know how long ago it was now, but when the doctor started to, when I really had to start tripping out on my health and some of the cognitive decline and some of the other stuff that had been going on, and the doctor said, you know what, we really need you to lose a lot more weight. I came on and said, you watch, right? There's no more farting around. I'm about to lose all of that weight. And I have. Every once in a while, one of you will send me an email that goes, oh, you know what? You look weight. I told you people I was going to do this. I really needed to, right? I needed to lose. And I did. Now I'm not losing anymore. I'm where I need to be. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Pretty happy with where I'm at. And I've staved off I've been doing really well on the cognitive decline thing. You'll know after 10 a.m. Okay. Well, then you're gonna have to come here and let us know for sure. Thank you, General Bo. I appreciate that. I uh, I don't jump up on soapboxes, and I don't. Oh wow, Amy, I'm so glad you're all right. I don't preach to anybody here. I really don't. I don't bring my religion up much, but I came to the realization that I do believe, and at some point I was going to stand in front of my maker, and I was going to have to say I did absolutely nothing with the first 46 years of my life, and that sucks. But I would be damned if I was going to say I didn't do anything from 46 on either. Right from that point on, I was going to do everything within my power to leave the earth a better place than I found it. Because for the first 46 years, I did everything I could do to F it up. You know what? You don't have to become a member one way or the other, but I hope you get the job. Well, I really hope you get the job, and I hope it's fulfilling. Jeremy, I love you, man. Jeremy says everybody bashes the career criminals, but they are goal oriented, driven, and looking to further their careers in the future. Their 401k stinks, though, and there's a lot of truth to that. We have a really horrific retirement plan. If you've never seen the retirement communities for career criminals, I have. In fact, I went there for a little while. Probably not gonna go that way. I'm uh, I'm not going back. Amy, I'm glad you're sober and happy. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the hell out of that. Christy, I love you. I really do. And I'm happy to be firing on at least 6 of the 8 cylinders currently, maybe 6.5. But I'm doing better every day. I really am. I'm doing better every day. And that's a good thing. I was getting pretty freaked out, people. I'm not going to lie to you. I was getting pretty freaked out. But I seem to be doing an awful lot better. And shout out to my friend for for helping me out. It's been a pretty symbiotic thing here. I think we're both doing a pretty good job of helping each other out. Progress, not perfection. I love that. It's a good one to love that. Progress, not perfection. Wait, we're supposed to have 8. I have 8 cylinders. You might have 4. There's nothing wrong with that. My mood seems better. I am less distracted, and that really helps with my mood because of the fact that I got 2 cylinders that aren't very good anymore. There's a lot of things going on like this and kind of tugging at my life from different directions. I can't cope with it. I can't. It's and that's horrible because when I was running the boat, I was doing that with 50 things going, right? And doing that for years. And it was never a problem. But after the that little experimental run, with that medication, it really did me in. And now that kind of multitasking thing makes me feel like my head's going to explode, and it's just a really difficult thing to process. Quibble has been great at sort of well, someone said you needed to stay in the moment. Well, that's probably a great way to look at this. She's done wonders to keep me to keep the world from getting anywhere near me until I get a little bit more normal, and which is a good thing. How do you stay less distracted? Do you do less? Yeah, I'm doing considerably less. And I don't recommend that to everybody, but I'm a unique case, right? This was I ended up with all of the symptoms of rapid cycle bipolar disorder, brought on by a medication that I had a fairly horrific reaction to. Well, that a lot of people had a pretty horrific reaction to. Uh, the it's not. It doesn't have a name that it's never been released. So when we look at it, it's usually a bunch of letters and numbers. I tried 3 different ones. None of them had a name like you would do Viagra or something like that. Because none of them are through the approval process. They just haven't got to there yet. I think when they're approved and all that, then they pay somebody to come up with a name. Oh, Miss Sunrise Dawn, that's awesome. Says you look the happiest and most relaxed I've seen since you started on the boat. That's great. Um, can I elaborate? Elaborate? I I have been diagnosed with cerebral infarction, and that's causing early onset dementia. So because of that, there are some because that's my diagnosis. I was able to try some medications that have not gone through FDA approval, and that's the nice thing is that if there's something out there that can really help you, you don't have to wait, right? Because it might be too late. If your cognitive decline is getting worse, and there's something out there that could stop that, you'd like to try it, right? Unfortunately, this didn't work. Right, the first two didn't work either, but they didn't seem to do anything. This one, I felt like I was early onset dementia. ASAP Lizzie, early onset dementia. It was risky. Um, yes, I've been having issues. Yeah, I had been having issues for an extended period of time. I had been, I lose things, right? And I mean, I don't mean like I misplace keys. Like I will lose a day. I will lose blocks of time. I don't remember meeting people, which is a bummer, especially with what I do, right? So now I can come on and do the things that I do. I spend a lot less time one on one with people because it's such a bummer for somebody to open up and really tell me, huge things about their life and then have me go, I don't remember who you are. That's a slap in the friggin' face to people, even if I don't want it to be. Tommy, I hope this is an okay question. Are you seeing different doctors in KC, getting a second opinions from doctors? Shannon C, thank you. That's not, there's nothing, yeah, I'm not offended by you asking that question. There's nothing wrong with that. I have, so my diagnosis was in 2016. 2016 or 2017. So I've had this for a long time. And for years, we kind of just thought that they were all wrong, right? I wasn't seeing, there were no symptoms at all, right? There was no symptoms at all. Uh, Unfortunately, um, recently they started to come on and come on quick, you know, and normal doctors, if I go to doctors and I get a second opinion, they're going to say to me, here's a list of stuff we'd like to put you on. And they're all amphetamine products because they will help you focus in, right? They will help you tweak, right? If you've done the drug. And when you can't focus and there's things going on all over the place, tweaking is a good thing, right? It keeps you focused on one thing. I can't take that stuff, right? I know who I am, right? I can't take that stuff. And if I take that stuff, it will lead me back to heavy, heavy stuff. You know what? I don't want anybody, don't do that. For real, don't do that. I came to I did this this isn't a shocker, people. This is 2016, right? I back then I mourned and did all of that crap. Um I have I go flying by places. I'll drive by my exit on the freeway. I do that all the time, but a lot of people do that. That's a big thing is like when I walk into a room, I will never remember why I'm in there ever, ever. Right? I if I go into a room to get something, I never remember why I went in there, and God forbid somebody talks to me on the way. And you'll notice if you've seen me on other shows, if we're on with somebody, Quibble's great about it, but if you introduce a different subject, I'm never going to get back to whatever I was talking about. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. Yeah. And as a public speaker, I used to be able to forget about, and then weave your way back in. Somebody would ask a question, or you could keep the thread, right? And, there's nothing magic about that. It's just, you can do it when your brain works, but when your brain stops working, that doesn't work too well. Or when your brain starts, I'm not gone, right? I'm just, I'm certainly not what I was, but that's all right. Vegemite, oddly enough, Jeremy Shelton, I was willing to try that experimental medication. Vegemite, yeah. I think I'll stick with the experimental stuff. No, I won't be. Uh, I, yeah, I will not be doing any more of those. I'm done. I'm done experimenting on my own brain. It wasn't a good idea. It was not a good idea. But yeah, no, I'm not. I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at. I just I have to do crap a whole lot different than I did. Right? Dave's not here, man. I have to do things differently. I have my journaling takes on a different importance. Right now, I write down things because I don't want to lose them. Right now, it's an external memory, is what it is. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. Boy, there's a lot of truth to that. Love that song. Correct. I'm that's what I'm doing. I'm adapting. Absolutely, ASAP Lizzie. I do everything that nothing's changed except how I do what I do. I can say lots, but there's things that I can take to help. There, I've I'm willing to look into things that help. I know that there are some things out there that have been recommended to me. Some I actually am continuing to take. Amy, thank you. Yeah, I feel great now. Vegemite is disgusting to be sure. Uh, Thank you, Miss Sunrise Dawn. That's awesome. Thank you. No, you know what? And I'm having a ball. I really am. I'm having a really, really good time. Um, Mentality works. Also, the science is progressing. I believe that too. I know that. I know that we're definitely progressing. There's a lot of people studying this stuff. Shannon, see, a lot of this is because I was really sharp. Uh, when I started to, like I said, I didn't think we really thought that there was a misdiagnosis for the longest time because I just didn't progress at all. I just did not progress. And then it just started to go like this. But when I started the lifeboat, I was as sharp as a friggin' tack. And this process now is like it's like second nature. Oh no, Alice, I don't know that story, but that sounds awful. Yeah. I completely radically changed my diet, Mary Gonzalez. I did. I absolutely radically changed my diet, which was really important. It really was. the Thank you, Neely. I'm fighting to stay pretty damn sharp. I really am. And when you guys see me, like when I'm doing this, I'm great. I'm great. It's my ability to remember conversations and things that I had with people that I really struggle with, right? Um, Especially if I happen to have met somebody in the last 4 or 5 months, 6 months, I've known you for a while, that's great. But if I haven't known you for a while, I tend to lose people. I don't remember them, and it's a bummer if I'm working with you one on one. It's not a bummer if I mean it's great here. It really is. It's great. Nicole, good to see you. Glad to see you. Glad that you're here. Relatable Reese kidnapped me, and it's we've changed it to real table Reese recently. Stray, nice to see you. Yeah, nice to see you. I'm currently in Quibble's basement. This office down here is the Quibble estate. Uh, and she crashed a long time ago. But yeah, I'm up a little late tonight, but that's always fun. Uh, it's been going great, Stray. It's been going great. It really has. I am more hopeful these days than I've been in a long time. I was really I was having issues.